Hi, thanks for joining us for this episode of Doug Has Questions. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please like, subscribe. We're available if you want to watch us on YouTube, or if you just want to listen to the podcast version on Apple Podcast and Spotify. And each episode goes live on Thursday morning. So I hope you enjoy this episode, and we're happy to have you listening. Welcome to this episode of Doug Has Questions. Today my guest is Haines Police Chief Jimmy Yoakum. Thanks for joining us, Chief.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Doug.
Yeah, you bet. I think it's a good opportunity. I appreciate you being on because you're new to Haines, just got back from the academy. Mm-hmm. I think it'd be good just have an opportunity for people in the community to kind of get to know your background a little bit.
Sure.
What brought you to Haines and kind of who is Chief Jimmy?
Love to share with you.
All right. Let's start. Where'd you grow up?
So I grew up in Maryville, Tennessee, which is just south of Knoxville, East Tennessee. I was born in Chattanooga. I was adopted, and my parents they adopted me at a very, very early age. So I was fortunate that I've spent my whole life with my mom and dad. So I grew up in Maryville, Tennessee, and went to local public schools there, in grade school and high school. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Did you know you were adopted at a young age, or was that something your parents waited till you were a certain age before telling you?
It just kind of happened by coincidence, or coinky dink, if you know what we might say. But I was probably junior high age, maybe a little bit younger, and my dad and mom always used to, on Sunday evenings, we used to go to church, come home, do our thing, then go back to evening church, and then we'd come home. Dad would always watch 60 Minutes, and if we were quiet during 60 Minutes, then we got to watch the Disney show. If we weren't quiet, if we weren't doing no Disney, there was no Disney at all. And Mama always, typically made a homemade, one of the little Chef Boyardee pizzas, mm-hmm. Which I thought was the coolest thing ever. Making pizzas in your own house. Yeah. But it just so happened that one night there was some sort of expose or subject came up about adoptions and this, that, and the other. And I don't know how it got brought about, but I asked my mom and dad about it. I don't know why. I can't remember why I asked them about it, and they told me that I was. Mm-hmm. And, as a kid, I was just like, it doesn't really mean anything to me because you're my mom and dad, Yeah. But I think it upset my mama because she was kind of sniffling in the kitchen, because I don't know if she just didn't realize how much I loved them and thought of them as those are my parents, mm-hmm. I think it kind of bothered her a little bit, but she was okay with it, So I probably found out mid junior high age, a little bit earlier.
Did you ever have a desire to find out who your birth parents were, or have you found out who your birth parents were?
I have not. I thought that I had a lead at one point, and I was never able to contact the gentleman, mm-hmm. my biological dad. And I was pretty sure I had found my biological mother, and I reached out to her and her sister, and never got any response from it. And it didn't upset me. I mean, there's the part of it that, every time you go to the doctor's office, do you have any medical history, right? Do you have any medical history?
Yeah.
Oh, I have no earthly idea, right?
Yeah.
But then there was just kind of the wanting to, honestly, down in my soul, I just really wanted to say, hey, I'm good. Mm-hmm. Can't imagine, I hope I wouldn't have, if I did get in touch with them, I hope that I wouldn't be disrespectful about it, but just to let them know I'm good. My parents, I couldn't have asked for any more than what I came out with.
The people they gave you up to did a great job with you, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
That they did. They took care of you.
Absolutely. I mean, they're my mom and dad, and I'm their son, and they ain't no piece of paper that's going to say anything different about that. And, so, I tried to find them, wasn't able to, cool. You know,
Life goes on.
Yep, life does go on.
So did you have other siblings?
I do. I got 3 older sisters.
Were they adopted also, or
No, I think my mom and dad had 3 girls and decided that
we want to make sure we're getting a boy?
Yeah. Because my daddy was the last one in his line with the family name.
Okay.
And so, you know, they adopted me, and I was able to carry on the family name there. So,
Yeah.
Yep. So
How much older were your sisters?
The youngest of the 3 older ones is 61. The second of the oldest is 64, and the oldest of the 3 is 67, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. So when my youngest sister was going out of high school and going on to college, then I was coming into high school.
So when baby Jimmy gets brought into the house with 3 older sisters, were you just like the baby, and everybody, your sisters are taking care of you, or
I cannot confirm or deny any shenanigans or tomfoolery that I pulled. No, it was. We had a great relationship growing up. I had a bit of a temper growing up,
mm-hmm.
and so you know, I was just the pesky little brother that I always wanted to be around their friends when they would come over and spend the night, or if they were going on some sort of youth trip, you know, with the church. I always wanted to go, and every now and then I got to go or be around their friends, but most of the time I got kind of shooed off. Mm-hmm. And that made me mad, and I'd fuss and complain and kick and scream. I might throw something at them or something, but then Mama would tell me, you know, when your daddy gets home. that was the end of that.
You rest up right now, because there's going to be consequences when
yes,
Dad gets home.
Yes, absolutely. So, you know, I took the belt to timer 3, and even took the switch from my granny. Mm-hmm. Several times, and so when I got those magic words, you know, I knew it was time to let's get back in line.
Took you a little bit, and then you finally figured out that there's a line we don't cross here.
That's
pain involved.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So are you still close with your sisters now?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because, you know, my wife, she is she comes from an Italian family. And I mean, they talk like all the time. It's kind of a weird dynamic that we have now, you know, kind of moving into the present time. It's a weird dynamic because they talk all the time. I call my mama and daddy every Sunday.
Yeah.
But me and my sisters, sometimes we won't talk for 2, 3, 4 months, and it's okay.
Yeah.
It's just kind of the way it is, and it drives my wife crazy because, you know, she's like, "Did your kids call you today?" And I'm like, "No, they didn't call me." And "Did you call your sister?" "No, I hadn't called them either."
Yeah,
you know. So, but yeah, I mean, growing up, we've always had a good relationship. Stayed in touch, you know, however often that is for our normal family. But even today, there's still a real strong bond.
So, any sports?
I did. If it involved being outside and doing something, I played it. Kind of when I grew up, and this is where I feel very fortunate, because when I was growing up, man, when it was basketball season, we were playing basketball. Mm-hmm. When it was baseball season, we were playing baseball. When it was football season, we were playing football. You know, and I mean, we would make up games in the backyard. We'd take Daddy's post hole diggers and dig holes in the ground, and we'd play yard hockey, you know. So, and of course, in the '84 Olympics, when we won the gold medal, I mean, we were breaking rulers and kind of taping them at the end and playing hockey on the air conditioner. And of course, then all playground games with, you know, pick up smear, and we played ultimate frisbee. I mean, if it had a ball or some sort of winning objective, I was playing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when I got in the Army, actually, I went to, when I got to Fort Bragg, I was driving by the ice rink, and it said rec league hockey sign-ups. And I was like, I wonder what that's all about.
They got an ice rink at Fort Bragg?
They do. They
Really?
do. Absolutely they do. Because that
Dang.
surprised me too, right?
Yeah.
I'm driving by and see ice rink, and I'm like, hey, that's cool. And then the marquee said rec league hockey sign.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I wonder what that's all about. So I went, it's kind of, you okay to tell about it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I went in and I said, hey, I said, what's the deal with this rec league hockey that you've got going on? And the guy behind the desk was like, it's rec league hockey.
Yeah, what more do you need to know?
Yeah, and I'm like, no, okay. I said, okay, that's fair. I mean, that's fair,
Yep.
right? I said, okay, let me back up a little bit. I'm from East Tennessee, and about the only time we ever went ice skating was like at Christmas time in high school. You know, it was a big romantic date or something, and we'd take our girlfriend to Gatlinburg and go ice skating like once a year. I was like, so I've only skated like 6 or 7 times in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I said, can I still sign up? He said, it's rec league hockey. I'm like, all right, cool.
All right. Where do I sign?
Yeah, how much is it? I paid the $100. That paid for my ice time and the equipment rental and everything. And he gave me this. He gave me this big garbage bag full of stuff.
Yeah.
And I went home and I looked at it, and I didn't have an absolute clue what any of it was. Right? And I called my buddy that actually played at BU at Boston University. He played there and played on the post team. I said, hey, I just signed up for this thing, and because I'd like to try ice hockey. I've never played. But they gave me a big old bag of stuff, and I don't know what to do with it. He said, oh, man, I mean, he said, that's cool. Good job. You know, that's good. You know, I'm going to be out at the tryouts, you know, to try to help sort people into teams and stuff. And he said, wait a minute. He said, Jimmy, do you even have ice skates? I said, no, do I need them?
Let me check the bag.
I said, I did. I said, let me check the bag, see if they're in. He said, oh, I could just see him rubbing his head like this. He said, okay, we need to at least get you some skates.
That's going to help to play ice hockey.
Yeah,
I think skates is a key component of that.
Yeah.
I've never played, but watching it, I think that's one of the key elements.
I think it might be optional. I'm not sure. But the skates weren't in the bag, so he helped me get some skates. And it was I was a little embarrassed because, you know, we went in there for that when they did the tryouts. And I'm pulling this stuff out of this garbage bag. I mean, these guys are coming in with these big old hockey bags. And stick bags and all this other kind of stuff. I didn't even know it was called a stick bag at the time. And I got all my stuff laid out on the floor. And there's this guy over across the locker room that, I mean, he looked like he knew what he was doing. He had all his own stuff and everything. And I was just like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And so I'm like, he'd do something and I would do it, you know. And there was one time he was almost done. I said almost done.
Mm-hmm.
And he looked up real quick, and I'm like, he got this sour look on his face. He grabbed his stuff and walked out. And I felt like saying, listen, buddy, I promise you, I don't know how to put this on. But so I got it on and went out there and did the tryouts. That was a disaster because I didn't know how to stop. I just ran into the wall, you know, to stop myself.
Well, it stopped you,
It
didn't
did,
it?
absolutely. Yeah. And then they did some stick handling stuff. I looked at my buddy and I said, you know, I'm standing there with my stick straight up in the air like this. He said, just push the stick. Just push it with the stick. So I gave the puck a shove, and it went all the way down to the other end. I'm like, I just kind of chased after it. It was, but yeah, I mean, as far as sports goes, if there was a game involved and there's a winner and a loser, I was signing up for it.
So did you end up playing?
I did. Did
you get better?
I did. I ended up my first 30 seconds on the ice. I ended up with a 5-minute major because I crossed. Yeah. I asked my coach. I said, "What am I supposed to do?" He said, "Just go get the puck." Well, when I got on the ice, the puck was in the corner, and the dude had his, he was trying to dig it out.
Mm-hmm.
I just I just caught him right at the base of the neck with my stick. I got the puck and I started trying to kick it and chase it and push it down the ice, and the whistles were blowing. This guy, and the referee comes up and grabs me. He goes, "Get in the box. You got a 5-minute major for cross-checking." And I'm like,
I was told to get the puck, and I got the puck.
That's what I told my
succeeded.
coach. I said, "What'd I do?" He said, "You can't hit him in the back." I said, "You didn't tell me that."
That would have been good information to know.
So I did. I ended up playing and actually started practicing with the post team after a while.
Okay.
And I actually got to go to a tournament with them up in New Jersey, and got a little bit of ice time there. We played against like club teams from North Carolina State and UNC and that sort of thing. And one team came in. They didn't have very many players, and they were like, "Hey, listen, can you guys let us, lend us a player or two? You know who got to go?" Well, guess who scored a goal that game? I did, and they were pissed at me. I mean, they were mad. And I was like, "Look, y'all,
you guys are the ones that sent me down the river."
Exactly. So
you should have known after all this time I was just poised for a goal breakout.
And I think that was the only. I only scored one goal in my entire hockey career. But to this day, I still say that because in high school I played football, basketball, and baseball. Played all three. But to this day, I'll still say that if they had ice hockey around where I was growing up, that's the only sport I would have played. It's wonderful.
It looks like a lot of fun.
It is absolutely the best time ever.
I think I've been on ice skates once when I was like 6 or 7,
right,
for a very short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Never had an opportunity to be on ice skates since.
Yep.
And so I don't think I would be much of a hockey player, but it looks like a fun game. Anytime you can have a stick and you get to hit people,
right? Absolutely.
Maybe not cross the shoulders with the
right,
cross checking or anything like that, but lower shoulder in them, crunch them into the boards and stuff. That looks like a lot of fun.
It is brutally painful. I mean, that you've got padding on, but you don't have like football padding, for the most part, and it is brutally painful. But it's just so much fun, so much fun.
Although as injury prone as I was in high school, I probably would have spent most of the season in a cast or sling of some kind.
Yeah.
Sitting on the bench.
Yeah,
injured.
Absolutely. But yeah, so sports was always in the picture, and actually, when I graduated from high school, I went down to Middle Tennessee State University and started playing football down there. I love the game.
What position did you play in football?
I played fullback and linebacker.
Okay.
And I went to MTSU. Didn't prepare for it because I didn't think I was going to play, and I was just like, man, I really miss this. And so I went out. They had me at safety, which I had played safety early on in high school, and I just loved the game. I to this day, I love coaching football, love it, and I found out real quick that MTSU was probably not the program for me to just go out and enjoy the sport in. Because it was a Division I AA school, and so they were pretty serious about it, and I was like, this is just not for me. So I went back to Maryville College, and played basketball there.
What were you gonna out of high school? What were you studying because you went from high school to Middle Tennessee State first? Were you going to criminal justice, or were you just at that point law enforcement wasn't on the radar?
It was just undeclared.
Okay.
Have no earthly idea what I'm going to do. I'm going to get my undergrad credits, my core credits, and get those out of the way, and then I'll figure out what I'm going to do. I wanted to fly, and thought about declaring for the professional pilot degree.
Okay.
Which would have took me all the way up to my commercial license, and I got some flight time in. I got my ground school in. It was just so expensive. And I just couldn't pay for it.
So how long were you at Middle Tennessee State before you went back to Mary?
Just a year.
Just your freshman year?
Yeah, just the freshman
year. And
then
then Maryville, was that the name of the college?
Yep. Maryville College.
Maryville College.
And so I played basketball there, busted my back up, had to have surgery.
Was that while playing basketball? Or?
Yeah. So I went to Maryville College, and actually, I got really, really super. I was very fortunate that I got invited. I can't even remember the connection. I think there was a recruiter for the University of Georgia that worked the East Tennessee area, and I had met him. And the summer before I started, he got me in to be a coach at Hugh Durham when he was the basketball coach at Georgia. He got me in as a coach for the summer, and I went down there. I told Coach Durham, I said, I just want to be a part of this program, of the Division I program. I don't care if I never wear a game jersey. I just want to be a part of this program. So at the end of the week, we would play every night, and at the end of the week, I went to him, went to his office, and he said, I've watched you play. If you want to be a part of the team, then you can walk on, and you can practice with us, but you'll probably have to pay for your own ticket on game nights. Fine. Yeah. I was over the moon, you know what I'm saying? And it was late in the summer when I was at that camp, and so I went home, put all my stuff in, and apparently they had already taken all the out-of-state applicants that they could. Yep. And so I got denied for admission.
You said, I know the coach. Coach, I'm willing to pay.
I did.
I'm going to be paying. I said, I'm going to be paying to get in.
I'm supposed to be a walk-on.
I'm supposed to be on the team. Even if I got to pay to get in the gym for the game night.
Didn't help. So I was back at Maryville College, and we got into the season. I got undercut two or three times in practice, and I ended up rupturing the L5 disc. It was just a herniation, so it wasn't major. My orthopedic surgeon said, "You're not playing anymore." So we did the surgery. Been great. Hadn't ever bothered me since then. And so then I was like, okay, now what am I going to do? And it was along about that time that I started finding about ROTC in the military. The program I went up to East Tennessee State University that had a really strong ROTC program, and I went through that. Ended up getting me a 2-year scholarship that paid for the last 2 years of my school, and we ended up going in the Army after that.
What'd you get your degree in then?
I got my degree in criminal justice.
That's when you finally got into the criminal justice track.
It was right about the start of my junior year, and I was thinking about doing veterinary science, and just the chemistry just was not for me.
That's a pretty big gap between criminal justice and veterinary science.
Yes. Well, the veterinary science I had a real passion for because I love animals.
Yeah, okay.
Love animals, always loved animals, especially wanted to work with large animals. Mm-hmm.
Did you guys have a farm when you were growing up?
I was around them.
You were around them
all the time. Yeah. I mean, we were around cows and horses and everything all day long, every day. We never had any on our property because my dad was a chemist and a metallurgist.
Okay.
And so, obviously he had no time for livestock. Yep. And started 3 different businesses on his own, very successful. He made a modest living. He didn't ever get rich, but he did well by our family and that sort of thing. And but he just had no time for that kind of stuff. We were around it, but I just always have had a shy towards dogs, horses, cows, that sort of thing. And when I told him I was thinking about veterinary science, he was like, okay, whatever. Do you, basically. And I realized how much chemistry was involved, and I couldn't do it, man. I couldn't do it. It was like reading Greek to me. And, of course, it drove him crazy. that was his bread and butter, you
Yep.
know, and as a chemist, and then that's where that adoption thing comes in. That apple definitely fell far from the tree because, man, I could call him up. We didn't have email and internet then, or we may have had internet. Yeah, we'd had internet, but anyway, I couldn't just zap him something and have him answer it real quick. But I would call him and tell him what I was working on. He's like, "Oh, it's blah, 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 blah," you know, and I'm like.
What are you doing on Tuesday at 2:00? I got a test. Can you take this for me, Dad?
Yeah. Can you? Where was FaceTime or the meta glasses?
Yep, the meta glasses.
When
you
you need
help
them.
have a little earpiece there.
Yeah.
Help on the test.
And so I was getting into the military. I knew I loved the Army. I loved the structure. I loved the camaraderie and the brotherhood and sisterhood. And so I was just like, honestly, I mean, if we're being completely transparent, I was just like, I'll just get a criminal justice degree because I'm going to spend 20, 30 years in the military and I'm getting out because I love this. I love it. And so I went in as the only thing I ever wanted to do was be an infantry officer. And I knew I was going to have a family, and I knew that infantry spent a lot of time in the field. They really, they did. And I was like, okay, let's be a little responsible here. You know, you want to be there for your kids, you want to be there for your wife, you want to be there for the whole family, and be able to spend some time with them. Probably infantry's not the thing ultimately that you want to end up in.
Yeah.
So I chose military intelligence. My dad, he was a Marine reservist. I was all proud when I got branched to MI field. And I called him and I told him, and he said, not, hey, congratulations, or that's great. He's, well, that's an oxymoron if I've ever heard of it. I was like, thanks, Dad, and so, it's getting closer to time, and I started thinking about it, and I was like, I really don't want to do intel. I really want to be in the woods, running around in the woods. It was too late to change it, and what kind of nobody told me when I was in college was when the infantry goes to the field, everybody goes to the field. Yep. It's not just the infantry guys, nope. It's everybody. And so I spent just as much time in the field as an intel guy as an infantry officer probably would, maybe a little less, but just the intel stuff. And of course, they told us in college about all the cool stuff that intel officers do. Well, they also didn't tell us that that's not until you get 15, 17, 20 years in.
Well, they didn't want to ruin the surprise for you.
Right.
Got to have something for you to look forward to.
I guess. And so I was a little disenchanted. And when it was time for me to get out, I went out and went back home. And I was like, holy moly, what am I going to do now?
So going through so you were 2 years with the ROTC program. Mm-hmm. And so when you get done with that, when you graduated college, did you have to go boot camp then? Do you do that in the summer while you're in ROTC?
Yeah.
How does that work?
Yeah, so I had to go to basic first because of my back.
Okay.
I had to go, and then I had to get my waiver. Mm-hmm. So I had to go to basic. And then between your junior and senior year, you go to the ROTC advanced camp.
Okay.
So that is an ROTC camp that they send all cadets to before you get into your senior year. So that way, when you get done with your senior year and you've done everything that you need to do ROTC wise, then you're eligible for commission.
So did you go in as a lieutenant then?
Mm-hmm. I went in as a second lieutenant.
Okay.
Yep. And
Bragg was your first duty station?
It was. Initially, I was supposed to go to Fort Lewis, and I asked for Bragg.
Okay.
And was able to get that switched. And it was so funny because before I left my officer basic course in Fort Huachuca, Arizona, they sent me my orders, and my orders said Special Forces Command. And I'm like, oh, man, that's cool,
Uh-huh.
And I get there, and the Chief Warrant Officer 2, CW2, that was the adjutant at the time, I walked in, and he goes, "You lost?" And
I don't think so.
And I was like,
somebody told me to be here. I got a piece of paper.
That's exactly what I said. I said, Chief, I got this paper, and this is what it says here. And he looked, and he goes, "Oh my gosh!" He went into the G2's office. He came back out, and he said, "Go in there and see the major." I went in, and he's like, "Lieutenant, I have no earthly idea why they sent you here, but grab a desk somewhere, and we'll figure something out for you." And I was like, "Holy moly!" You know. So I was there for anywhere from 4 to 6 months.
Yeah.
And the Major Finley, I believe his name was, he said, "All right," he said, "we've got to get you down to the 82nd so that you can start doing some of your career progression stuff, you know, assistant intel officer for one of the infantry battalions, platoon time, and that sort of thing." So that's when I went down to the 82nd and I was a platoon leader for a Spanish linguist platoon. I was assistant S2 at one of the infantry battalions. I actually went up to G2 in the division office, and I was assigned to be the intel liaison for the what I know as LRPs, the long range recon guys for division. I was their intel liaison that gave them their intel dumps before they went out on missions and that sort of thing. So.
And so you were in the Army for how long? Did you do a
4
4-year
years.
hitch?
Did 4 years, and then actually I've got a total of 10 because I was reactivated after 9/11.
Okay.
And then just after, before and after, I stayed in another 6. And
So you were in the reserves then, or okay?
yeah, I did some reserve time and did some National Guard time with actually the Tennessee Air Guard. So I kind of did a branch transfer over. But it was still continuing my service time. Got to 10 years, 9/11 happened. That was such a cluster for reservists
Yeah.
and National Guardsmen. I was at the 10-year mark, and so I was just like, you know, I'm not re-upping. I'm getting out.
Was that just because they had no idea what they were going to do with you, or because of where they were sending you? How was it screwed up at that point in time?
You know, I think after initially that first year to year and a half was just really crazy. I think that the reserves and the National Guard, I think, is my personal opinion, I think they started getting their stuff in order, and they started figuring out where they fit in that big picture on the war on terror. But that first year was just crazy because, you know, the planes hit the World Trade Centers, and I was on the golf course. We were on our way to North Carolina for our kind of an annual fall golf trip with a bunch of other police buddies of mine, and that happened, and everybody's phone started beeping and carrying on, and mine said, "Get to the airbase now." So I had to go back, and we were actually locked down at the airbase there locally for 3 or 4 months, I think. On the airbase, couldn't go home. Families could come out and see us from time to time. And then after about 3 months, 4 months, I was on graveyard, so I was working like 6P to 6A or 7P to 7A. At the morning day shift formation, I was in security forces as far as, you know, military police, and my phone started blowing up when I was asleep. I was like, "What is going on now?" You know, and one of the guys was like, "You're not going to believe what just happened." Apparently, one of the generals from the Tennessee Air Guard came in from Nashville and made this, you know, gave us a good attaboy, the people that were in the formation gave them a good attaboy speech for the whole squadron, and said, "And you know, this is why we call ourselves the volunteer state, because we're so proud of you men and women for volunteering to be out here like you are." And we were like, "Wait a minute, we were told we had to be here. What's going on here, you know? So that just put a really bad taste in everybody's mouth. And so after they eventually did, and shortly after that, put us on Title 10 orders, which is active duty orders again. Mm-hmm. And so for, you know, we were on active duty orders for like a year and 4 months or something like that. And that's about when my 10-year mark was rolling around. I was like, I'm done. So that was just me being a big crybaby, because I should have stayed in and got the other 10 and got my retirement. But mm-hmm. I was being a little crybaby.
Well, just because you didn't get the other 10, you know, sometimes you get to the point and that's the time to move on.
Yeah, it was a tough time. I mean, it'd been really tough on my family too. So it is what it is.
So when they call you to duty like that, I think, how did they come? Because you're a policeman at that time, right? So mm-hmm. you go. We'll backtrack a little bit. You got out of the army, got back home, trying to figure out what to do. Is that when you?
I had a criminal justice degree, and I thought, you know what? I think I want to. I'll just go in law enforcement until I figure out what I want to do. Mm-hmm. And I got in law enforcement, and I ended up being a field training officer as well. And so I would even tell my trainees when I would get them, you're going to do about 3 years, and you're going to start going, well, what am I doing? Do I need to stay in this or do I not? If you get to the 5-year mark and you're still in, you're going to be in for the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. So I got in law enforcement, and I got to that 3-year mark, and I was loving life. I mean, I was chasing people and fighting people, and it's a lot different now than it was in '95. You know, most of our usual customers, we knew they were going to fight, and we knew it was going to be a knockdown, drag out, and they knew that they were going to go to jail, right? and so they were going to make us earn it. Uh-huh. And I mean, I got my bell rung so many times. You know, I've been whooped a lot of different times, but it was always kind of a mutual respect that once the fight was over, it's like, okay, now we got to go to jail, right?
Yep, this is the next step.
And we didn't. They knew that we weren't going to be unfair to them, or at least they knew the cops that weren't going to be unfair to mm-hmm. them and try to stack a bunch of charges on them and this, that, and the other. That one guy who just about knocked me out cold, and that was the end of the fight. And he comes over and he goes, "Are you okay, Jimmy?" He picks me up, and I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "Come on, turn around, man. You got me that time, but not next time." And then so we cuffed him up and took him on to jail. But it was a different time then, you know. It was different, and I was really enjoying law enforcement at that time. And so
how often is this like fisticuffs and everything?
I mean, we were probably fighting two or three times a week.
Really?
Yeah. Just Dang. You know, just a bunch of old, you know, a lot of just drunk guys that normal customers, weren't bad people. Mm-hmm. You know, matter of fact, I mean, got to be pretty good friends with most of them. One guy ran the, I won't say his name, but one guy ran the local motorcycle club. Mm-hmm. And I got surrounded by a bunch of bikers down at the lake one night, and all I heard coming down the lake was this, and I'm like, oh my gosh, now what's going on? Well, I'd done him some solids as far mm-hmm. as not charging him with a bunch of craziness and this, that, and the other. And he comes sliding in sideways on that big old Harley, and he walks up and he said, "If anybody's got a problem with this man, they got a problem with me. So let's just go ahead and get started." And I'm like, no, we don't
want to get anything started.
There's 2 of us and like 28 of them, you know.
It's not going to end well.
But they're like, poof, they went on. Yep. He just said, "You call me if you need anything, Jimmy." I said, "Yes, sir, I'll do it." And so, yeah, I mean, it was they were breaking the law. They were criminals, but it was pure. Does that make sense? I mean, it was.
Yeah, I can. I've had people talk about that too. That there's a code of conduct or whatever that there's. We know we're doing this. We know you're going to catch us some of the time. These are kind of the rules of the game as you go along.
Right.
And yeah.
Yep, that's exactly how it was. And then, everything started kind of shifting in. I would say it was probably right around the late 90s into the early 2000s. Everything kind of started shifting. There was a big push for community-oriented policing. That brought on a lot of. It's good. It's good philosophy. Good approach. I do not disagree with it at all, and it still goes on today. If a law enforcement person is smart, it still goes on today. But it did start changing the dynamic of law enforcement, and the Wild West was pretty much. I caught the last tail end of the of the craziness, But yeah, so
the town that you're a police officer in at this time, how big a community was that?
Blount County has about 750 square miles. It was divided into 4 zones, so you do the math on that. And when I started, it was usually, if we were lucky, we had 3 deputies, and 1 supervisor. So I would take, for example, zone 1 and 2. Another guy would take zone 2 and 3, and then 1 and 2. Then another guy would take 2 and 3. Then the last guy would take 3 and 4.
Okay.
And so you kind of crossed over boundaries. But it was not uncommon for us to have one guy north and one guy south and a supervisor. Backup being 30 to 50 minutes away. Had a guy wanting to kill me one night with his bare hands. I got a call, drove up in the driveway, and this guy's carrying an engine block, right? And he puts it down, and we talked for a minute. I said, listen, buddy, you're going to have to go to jail. He said, I ain't going to jail. He said, matter of fact, I'm just going to kill you. He never picked up a weapon, nothing. And I'm like, hey, I need some help.
I'm going to need some help on this.
And I was in the south end. My supervisor and the other guy were in the north end, like the far north end. And I ain't proud. I ran around my car. He'd get tired, and we'd stop and catch our breath, and then he'd try to run around and catch me. I ran around my dadgum car for probably 40 minutes.
Yeah.
With him threatening all kinds of stuff to me. Again, never picked up a weapon. I never let him get close to me, especially man's carrying an engine block around. You don't let him grab hold of you. And the boys got there, and I was like, it's going to be ugly, but here we go. And then that code of conduct, those rules kind of came into play, and he threw us all around. Like, we finally got him all hog tied up and trussed up like a Christmas turkey, and put him in the car and took him to jail. But yeah, it was 750 square miles, very limited coverage. By the time I left that department, we had 1 per zone, sometimes 2 per zone, a backup north, a backup south, a canine running backup for the whole county, maybe sometimes even 2 canines back, for the county, and a supervisor or 2 at least. And so that was kind of frustrating because you get that many people. Of course, the call volume then was not near what it is there now.
Was that kind of at the beginning of the opioid, or did that come later with the opioid epidemic? Or did you even have to deal with that much back there? Seems like when you hear these reports on it, that seems like the geographic area where that was fairly prevalent.
Our biggest problem, at least in East Tennessee, was initially the crack
Okay.
And then I think that kind of phased out. And the biggest problem we faced was the methamphetamines.
Oh, meth deal.
Yep. It was cheap, it was easy, and those guys and gals could make it pretty much anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so the biggest issue was a lot of times just the meth. You know, everybody's still smoking a little bit of weed here and there, but man, the meth just blew up in East Tennessee. I mean, we got so many hills and hollers and caves and RVs and everything. You know, they were cooking it just wherever they could find a spot.
Yep.
So the meth became a real issue for us in East Tennessee.
And how long were you at that department?
I started in '95, and I went to do Young Life in 2005. Worked for Alcoa Police Department for a year in there, but I was at
What's Young Life?
Young Life is a non-denominational Christian ministry to high school kids.
And so you went from police work, and then in 2000, so you started working for Young Life then?
In 2005, I did.
2005?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I was a volunteer Young Life leader because I had moved off the street and I'd went into the school as a school resource officer. I was a volunteer Young Life leader in the school I was assigned to, and I just thought, you know what, I really feel like I need to do this full time. And so I went into Young Life in '05, and I went to Great Falls, Montana, and my first wife she struggled with it just because she was so far from her grandparents or her grandmother. And she was just really afraid that her grandmother was going to pass. She wasn't in good health. And I mean, gosh, you know, first time she'd lived 3,000 miles away, and it was a really hard transition for her. And she just said, I need to go back to Tennessee. And so, you know, God opened up some wonderful doors there. And Young Life in Great Falls is still going, as far as I know. Prior to me getting there, it had never worked. Mm-hmm. Nobody had ever been able to get it up and running. And that's not a testament to me. That's, you know, a testament to the Holy Spirit and the work that He's able to do in a community. I was just kind of, you know, helped drive the train. That was all a God thing with the doors that He opened up, and the fact that it's still going today. So we went on back to Tennessee, and I got back in law enforcement, and then I ended up getting a divorce, and met my second wife, and she was from South Florida, and moved down there in 2010, maybe. I don't remember exactly. And we were together. I was down in South Florida for 5 years, and I handled narcotic dogs and bomb dogs for the guy. When I was a canine officer in Tennessee, mm-hmm. the guy that sold our department the dogs was in South Florida, and I worked for him as a dog handler in the ports, checking the commissary going on the ships.
Okay.
For bombs. Yep. And then I started.
For bombs?
Yeah.
You weren't looking for drugs. You were looking for bombs on the ships.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Was that the cruise ships or the container ships?
The cruise ships. Yep.
Really?
The sheriff's office had dope dogs in the terminal, and so they were working those, and we were working the bomb dogs on the commissary going on cruise ships.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know all the cruise ships, they're got bomb dogs checking everything.
I'm not sure.
Or is it just out of Miami that they're...
Well, no, gosh, he was his company had contracts with, don't quote me, but Carnival, MCM, Princess. There's another one.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Now that you're saying it, but it's not anything that I would was thinking that. Yeah, they're gonna have a bomb dog going through that.
Royal Caribbean.
Royal Caribbean.
And he had contracts with them, and he actually had canine teams in Miami and Fort Lauderdale, and I worked both of those ports.
Okay.
He had contracts in. Is there a port in Jacksonville? I think there is. I think it's more northern Florida.
Mm-hmm.
He had a couple of contracts up on the eastern seaboard, some in Texas and some in Washington.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean there was always, especially after 9/11, pretty much every cruise ship that goes out, at least now that I know of, could be wrong, but I can't imagine them doing away with them. The at least the commissary that goes on the ships was getting all of it's getting checked.
All of it's checked. Oh.
Yep.
Like I said, it makes sense. I mean, it's a pretty large target.
Yeah.
A lot of damage, and with minimal effort, if you can get something on there. But
well, and I mean, it's. I mean, where else are you going to check it? Because I mean, the trucks come into the port. Mm-hmm. They have to show their TWIP card and all that kind of stuff. But they drive their trucks straight to the dock.
Yeah.
And the guys in the union were unloading. They put them all. They had a system and everything. But I mean, other than that, there was no
place for it to check. Yeah.
No place to check them.
Yeah.
So yeah, spent a lot of days, a lot of hours on the docks.
What kind of dog?
I worked both Shepherds and Malinois.
Okay.
Tony was such a good, I mean, he's an unbelievable dog guy. Mm-hmm. Built a huge business and serviced police departments, sheriff's departments. I mean, you name it, and this guy did it. And so he created a trading program that was so good that we could just, if we needed to, we could just go down to the kennel and grab a dog and take him and work him. Okay. And so I didn't necessarily have an assigned quote unquote dog. I worked with several different types of dogs, and when I was there, but mainly it was just Shepherds and Malinois. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so how long did you do that for? So like 5 years?
No, I did that for about 3 years.
3 years.
And then I got back into law enforcement. I actually went through I actually received permission to be a lateral transfer for the state of Florida. So I just had to go through a 1 month classroom thing.
Okay, from Tennessee to Florida, it could be a lateral transfer.
Yeah, and had to do my weapons and my driving and all that stuff that's required. But yeah, Florida approved my Tennessee certificates. So I did that, and I went to I got hired by the Palm Beach School District Police, and I was assigned to Santa Lucia's High School, which is in Lake Worth, Florida. Probably 2,500 kids, more inner city, and just me. And it was, it was on the daily that it was so funny because I had the Hispanic gangs, the black gangs, and the Haitian gangs, all three in my school. Smell weed in the hallways on a daily basis. Yeah. I had the FBI come one time and tell me that ISIS was actually recruiting out of my school. And I'm like, wait a minute, they're here? And he's like, no. He said they're in the community, but the kids that we know that they've been targeting go to this school. And that's the last I heard of it. They never sent me anything or followed up with me or whatever. Yeah. I was like, well, what good did that do? But yeah, so it was really nice because those kids, when they came on campus, they were different. They for the most part, they were just very respectful.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like I built a whole lot of great friendships or relationships there, but it's almost like they enjoyed not having to look over their shoulder for a strange car coming up their street.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
And so when they were there,
they feel safe.
right?
They feel like they got
Yep. And so I was there, and then my wife and I just decided, that we talked about it, and I convinced her to let me come back up to Tennessee, and she would follow on.
So before we get to that, at the school, you're the lone officer. Was that a closed campus? Was it just one building? I mean, how did you keep other people that might be doing harm to those kids off of the campus as one person?
Yep. The parking lot was open to the public, and the school, though, it was actually pretty impressive, because they built the school in like a square, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was a big courtyard in the middle. That's where most of the kids ate their lunch and that sort of thing. And at every entrance, there was a big chain link gate that we would close during the school day. And if somebody came, they had to ring the buzzer for the front office, and then somebody would go out and let them in through a walk-through gate.
Okay.
So it's not like anybody could just walk on campus that wanted to. I mean, at least, obviously you can go to any school in America probably on any given day and time and find an open window or door.
Mm-hmm.
But that.
So were you screening the kids at all when they were coming on? Was there, because I know there's some schools, different places, they got to go through a metal detector or whatever to get onto campus. Was that ever an issue there?
Yeah, we didn't get to that point.
Okay.
We didn't get to that point, and I think the 2 years I was there, I had maybe 2 fights.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. I know we had one, and it wasn't really even a bad one. But I'm telling you, it was just different, because they were, like you said, they felt safe there. I feel like, I might be wrong, but.
So the administration, the teachers and the school administration must have done a great job with those students as well. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We had a really strong team when I was there. Had some good administrators, had a good principal. Tamika Robinson was her name, and she was just a wonderful woman. I served with her the longest. There was somebody before her that I got along with well, and then Miss Robinson came in, and we hit it off and had a great relationship, and she knew what I was there to do, and I knew that when I needed to step back, and because this was a school issue, and blah blah blah. But yeah, we had a good staff.
So after 3 years, you want to go back to Tennessee?
Yep. So did convince Liz to go back up home, and so we got her place already and got it sold, and bought a house in Tennessee. And
same place in Tennessee, or where'd you go? Where'd you move back to?
One county over.
Okay.
Went one county over. Loudon.
Loudon County.
Yep. It's Loudon, and a lot of people say Loudon,
Mm-hmm.
but it's Loudon County. And started out with the sheriff's office. I got enticed with some things to come over to the Lenoir City PD. I went over there and worked patrol on the evening shift. There was our canine handler took a contracting job overseas, and so I took his canine, worked his dog for a little bit of time after that. He got cancer and passed. Went back on patrol. They needed somebody at the high school, and so I'd been in high schools before. I love the kids, love coaching and teaching and all that stuff. And probably it was the fall after COVID, so the end of 2020, 2021 maybe, I can't remember. the criminal justice teacher came to me and said, "Hey, you need to apply for my job." I said, "You ain't leaving, man. What's wrong with you?" You know. And I mean, I had a great gig, right? Mm-hmm. It was the interactions with the kids. It was a great gig. And he said, "No." He said, "I'm leaving." I said, "Are you kidding me?" He said, "No." And back up to 2000, I was SRO from 2000 to 2004 in a high school resource officer.
Okay.
Yep. And my administrators down at William Blount, where I was actually my alma mater, and right before I went into Young Life, they convinced me to get my vocational teaching license. And so I did then. So when this job came up, I was like, man, I love teaching. I love coaching. I went and talked to my principal. He said, "Look, it's yours if you want it." Mm-hmm. And so I applied for it. I got it. He said, "We need to get your teaching certificate." I said, "I already got it. Here it is." And so, before I came here, the last 4 years, I was teaching criminal justice. I was coaching baseball and then eventually football, and just loving life. And then,
so why? That sounds like a good gig. Mm-hmm. What things are going well in Tennessee? You got this great gig. You're got to have an opportunity to touch on the criminal justice. You're connecting with kids in multiple different ways.
Yep.
What
Haines? Happened?
Why Haines? How did that top all that?
Yeah. So
it seems a lot to leave behind.
I've always wanted to be a chief of police somewhere.
Okay.
It's a professional goal of mine. My dad brought me up here fishing, and I was
to Haines.
No,
to Alaska.
We went to. We fished the Kenai.
Okay.
And I'm not sure.
And when was that approximately? Was that when you were growing up, or
85, 86?
So like in high school or junior high school?
Yep, high school. And I fell in love with it when I came up here, honestly. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, I can't believe people get to live here, So I've always wanted to be a chief. It's a personal goal of mine, professional goal of mine. My buddy who I went to college with and worked at a department with briefly early on, he left there, went to state troopers, and then went to the U.S. Marshals. He retired and came back home, and he took the criminal justice job in Knox County, which is just across. Mm-hmm. He's like, "What do I do?" And so I got him set up with all of his lesson plans and this, that, and the other. And he called me about halfway through the second semester. He said, "This is ridiculous. These kids are out of control." He said, "I'm going to Alaska to be chief of police." I said, "You've lost your mind." He said, "Nope." And next thing you know, he's the chief in Cordova.
Seriously?
Yeah. And, so he's...
So Tennessee is the pipeline for police chiefs for the state of Alaska now?
Well... Remind me to come back to that.
Okay.
To that specific point that you just made. So he's up here in Cordova, and he's sending me pictures of all the snow, and he's sending me pictures during the summertime, and the wildlife, and all the hikes he's going on, and I'm like, sorry, sucker, man. I'm like, might be my time. Mm-hmm. And it just so happened that at the end of year, or in the middle of year 3, it seemed like the school board, not the school board, it seemed like the state of Tennessee really started tweaking the educational requirements. Mm-hmm. And, I get where math teachers have to stay on a specific schedule, and they need to teach certain lessons on certain days, to be on track to get to meet the requirements. Mm-hmm. I get that. And of course, it's not just education. It's one of the things I've tried not to do here, but everybody, when they get into a position, it's like, oh, I've got to put my touch on it. Oh, I've got to tweak it so it's mine. And everybody feels like they have to do that, it seems like. And what it was doing was causing more work for the teachers. And they were really starting to come down on vocational teachers. They would tell us on the one hand, y'all are here to get kids ready for industry. That's the purpose of CTC, Career and Technical College, right? No, CTC, vocational.
Yep.
That's what you're here to do, is to get kids ready for the industry. Okay. But you need to fill out all these lesson plans. You need to do these, you need to give us a calendar on what lessons you're going to teach on what day, and you need to get this education. I actually had to drop out of seminary. I had went through the VA and started back to seminary for marriage and family counseling. And I had to drop out because I had to go back to college and take a non-credit, non-certifiable teacher's course that made, because my vocational license that I got, they now had an apprentice license. They changed it to where it's an apprentice license and a professional license. And so if you got an apprentice license, which is what mine was turned into, you had to go through a college educator prep course. And you know, there's a 1 semester one. There was one you could get them with 1 semester at certain colleges, but it was like $6,500. And then Knox County did a great job. They did a great thing, and they offered a 2-year program that met once a month, and you did a lot of online stuff and that sort of thing. And so after year 2, or actually in the middle of, right before year 2 started, I entered that program. And but it was just things like that just felt like they just kept stacking up and stacking up and stacking up. And I'm like, I'm a cop. I'm not an educator. I didn't go to school to get my degree in education. And my mother was a teacher. There's nothing wrong with an educator. But I'm trying to get kids ready for what they're going to see in the real world in law enforcement. I'm trying to teach them about constitutional law, about state law, about things you can and can't do. I mean, I wanted them to know everything they could because they needed to know if policemen were wrong. You know, hot topic has been, always will be, Fourth Amendment, illegal search and seizure, right? They need to know if that cop is violating their Fourth Amendment rights. I wanted them to know that. Of course, I would try to instruct them, hey, listen, the side of the road's not the place to get in a fight with somebody, you know, a cop. There is a venue for that. That's the court. That's the courtroom. But, you know, I'm trying to impart this knowledge to them. And, but yet I'm having to spend every spare moment trying to develop schedules and plans and, you know, meet requirements and blah, 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 blah. And it just started wearing on me, Doug. It started wearing on me, and I was just like, this is not what I got into teaching for. I realize it's part of it, but and then the apathy.
By the students?
I think the apathy from the students really started getting to me. And it hit me one day. I had a criminal justice 2 class, and criminal justice 1 is basic cop stuff 101, death by PowerPoint, you know. Do mock trials in CJ1, but in CJ2 I do my crime scene investigation. I do psychological profiling and serial killers module. Do a felony traffic stop module, close.
In high school, you're doing like profile for serial killers and stuff.
Yes.
Dang, that would have been fun.
Yes. I mean, I had.
I wish that would have been a fun class to take.
Yeah, it was my favorite.
Like crime scene investigation and stuff.
And behavioral profiling.
Yeah,
absolutely. Psychological profiling. Because everybody's like, because when I would give my spiel to the kids that were coming up from the middle school or whatever, they're like, "Oh, we get to talk about serial killers." I was like, "Yeah, but it's not what you think. It is."
So it's not like an episode of CSI.
No, it is a. But I mean, I make them dive into the. Oh my gosh. It's the manual for psychological disorders.
Okay.
I make them dive into that and take the clinical diagnoses that has been labeled for that serial killer and make them coordinate the clinical diagnoses, the attributes, and the all the things that go along with that diagnosis. I make them relate that to their crimes, and so that way they can see, hey, this is what started it. This was a trigger. This was the escalation point. This was so yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it sounds
great.
like it.
We flew drones, talked about doing aerial searches with drones. We did close quarters battle. And it was that day I was doing close quarters battle. I had a bunch of guys in my class that I thought, they were athletes and kind of that jock mentality. I thought, these guys might do okay.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just shucking and jiving, and I mean, I got pissed. I got mad, and I jumped on them. I said, look, this is what I do. This is my life.
Mm-hmm.
And this is stuff that quite possibly, if you learn it, could save you, your family, and your house. I said, if you guys just want to screw around, you need to get out of my class. And from that day on, that was in the middle of the fourth year.
Mm-hmm.
Just the phones and the AI and the AI coming into the classroom. Yeah, I couldn't get a single kid to write something that was their own. There was a few.
Mm-hmm.
Take that back. There was a few. I had some really good students, but for the most part, it's just like AI, copy and paste. And I'll be honest with you, I wasn't going to spend my off hours after baseball practice or football practice or weekends sitting at home doing an AI check on a criminal justice, on a vocational class paper.
Yeah.
It just kind of started wearing on me.
So how do we overcome that in the schools? You're not the only person that's told me that was in education and in different levels and stuff. That the apathy with the kids has been increasing over time, looking for the easiest way to do things. The phones all the time, short attention spans. Got any ideas on?
I think we embrace it.
Just embrace it.
I think we have to.
Yeah.
I mean, it is coming. There's nothing that can stop the technological advances. And
the thing that worries me about that with the AI is I was listening to somebody talking the other day, and they said that when you're using AI to supplement what you know, it's one thing. But when you're using AI to do something that you don't know, because then you don't know if it's wrong.
Right.
If you've got a working idea of a concept and AI is assisting you with it, and it screws up, because none of the models are perfect out there.
Correct.
Then you can wait a second. We need to do some more on this, and you can fine tune what you're looking for if you know enough of the subject matter. If you don't know the subject matter, you can get some really bad information.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you can get whatever you want off the internet through AI, whatever. I think on the one hand, I think we embrace the technology, and I think that we make our kids experts in its use. But somehow I think we've got to instill in them that sense of, this is my product, I still need to check it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? AI has come to law enforcement. Axon has a program that will transcribe your entire body cam interaction and put it right in your report for you.
All the online, this when I upload these videos, it comes with it does the transcript of the whole thing for me.
Right.
A lot of the spelling and everything like that. There's spelling. I tried to go and fix all the spelling on it, but I was like, I don't have that much time. I don't want to go through and do all the spell checking. So anybody that's looking at this, and I do know how to spell Haines. A lot of times they spell it with a Y, but it's just like I'm not going to go through all of that, the whole deal. But yeah, it puts the amount of things that it comes up with.
Yep.
There are some really cool uses for it that save you and your officers time, because you can, if it's putting that report off your body camera in there, and then you can go and check and make sure everything's correct on it.
Yep.
That saves you a lot of time, gets you back into the field.
It does. It does. And currently, I think that program is it's very, very new. Not a lot of departments are using it. The ones that are using it have said that it has decreased the officers' time on reports from 3 hours to an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. Now, they found out real quick that if they didn't have a system of checks and balances, that some of those reports were just so screwed up because of the transcription.
Yeah.
And so now they're going back and they're like, okay, you can put your report in there using the Axon AI, but you better go back and double check it.
You got to check it.
You got to go back and double check it to make sure that it's what is going to be viewed when the body camera video is looked at. A lot of scrutiny behind it too. There's been a lot of outcry for its abandonment because.
What are the concerns about it?
Just the fact that it's computer generated, and it's not the officer's words. It's not the officer's input. They're concerned with obviously security, even though police reports are public record. There was some concern about personal information, that sort of thing, that would be going into that type of program. But it's I think it's coming. Obviously, it is coming, and there's nothing that we can do about it. We don't have it. I don't intend on ever implementing it until it just becomes the industry standard. I will probably wait until an organization like the International Association of Chiefs of Police adopts it and says, "Hey, this is good. We stand behind this." But I don't have any intent to bring it here.
Yeah.
But back to the kids, I think we embrace it, but I think we also have to somehow instill the thought process. Hey, you need to have a little bit of pride in your work. Now we can have the conversation about work ethic, and when I was young, I walked both ways uphill in the snow.
Barefoot.
Conversation, yeah, barefoot. Work ethic for the kids. I'm not even going to get into that, but yeah, I don't think that we should try to keep it out of the classroom.
So you're getting frustrated with teaching. You got a buddy that's police chief in Cordova. Is he the one that let you know about the Haines position, or he's like, "Hey, there's a spot down here"?
He said there's a spot in Haines that's been open for a while. There's some others as well. And I looked at the pictures of Haines, and I looked at the area, and I was just like, man, that is gorgeous.
So when you brought this up to your wife, what was her reaction? It was like, "Hey, honey, we just a few years ago we moved from Florida back to Tennessee, got everything settled down, everything's been going great. I think I'm going to go to Alaska. I think I'm applying for a job in Alaska. How will that go over at the dinner table?"
She honestly said, "If that's what you feel like you need to do, I support you." I was waiting. I was waiting.
It's like, that's asking a lot.
Yeah, But man, what a strong woman she is. My wife is awesome. She's the best. But she did. She said, well, she said, if that's what you feel like you need to do, then go do it, and we'll figure it out. And I said, okay. So I applied. Actually, I applied at several different places throughout Alaska, and I don't know. Just my thoughts just kept coming back to Haines for some reason.
And you were here what, March or April last spring for the interview or
for the meet and greet?
Meet and greet.
I think it was April, maybe.
April. I was thinking when I asked you if you wanted to do this, I was like, man, it's about a year ago that I first met him.
Yeah.
And I didn't remember if it was the end of March, first part of April, but anyhow, spring of 25.
Yes.
And then you were hired in May, right?
Yep. I actually put my application in January the year before.
Okay.
And I got passed over. The borough wanted to hire somebody else. They withdrew. I actually sent you an email when you were still on the assembly.
When I was the mayor? Really?
Yep. Through the borough connect link.
Yeah.
Contact link.
Yeah. Did I respond?
Nope.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's all good.
I don't remember getting the email.
It's all good. But the reason
I tried to answer all of them.
The reason I was reaching out was because I knew that the fellow who'd withdrawn had withdrawn, and I kept looking at articles in the paper. You know, hey, not sure what we're going to do. Right now, we don't have. I can't remember the specific verbiage that was in the paper, but it's, we don't have any applicants, whatever. And I'm like,
wait. You got me.
yeah.
I don't think I was the mayor when that happened, though. Because I think Heath resigned right before the end of my term, and so they hadn't started while I was still mayor.
Well, your name was still on the.
My name was still on there?
Yeah.
So it probably went to my email.
Maybe.
And it goes to whatever archive they've got of old emails or whatever.
That's probably what it did then.
So I'm just trying to think of an excuse on why I didn't respond to you.
I
think I'm going to go with that one.
Let's go with that one. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think they selected another guy who also withdrew. And I kept calling the borough and saying, hey, is my application still good? Do I need to reapply? Whatever I need to do. Because Haines just kept coming up in my mind. And I kept looking at.
You decided to call after the wannabe mayor wasn't responding to your emails. I better make a phone call here. This dude's ghosting me.
What is going on?
I need to try something different. I don't know what this guy's got against me, but.
Is this where I want to be? Nobody answers the phone or email. But yeah, then I got the call, and just went through the application process and interview process, and the borough, Aleka, and her staff, and Mike Dinker was super good to me throughout the interview process, and I guess they decided to take a chance on me, and here I am.
And then you moved to Haines.
I got up here July 16th.
July 16th.
Of 25.
25. And then you started, because your Tennessee, unlike Florida, Alaska wasn't going to let your Tennessee
correct
credentials carry over, so they had to send you to the academy. That started, what, in October?
Yes.
So you go up with Officer Max Marty.
Went up with Max Marty. Went to Fairbanks October 3rd. And started the police academy.
Spent 4 months in Fairbanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What was that like going through the academy again? Did you feel? I guess the question is it easier the second time after you've got some history in law enforcement? Was there enough differences between Tennessee and Alaska, or Florida and Alaska, that it made it difficult in any way?
It was, I was very surprised. pleasantly surprised.
Mm-hmm.
The Sitka Academy, that's for young men and women. That would have been a real test. I'm older.
Is the Sitka one? Is it the more of the?
That's the Trooper Academy.
That's the Trooper Academy.
Yep.
Okay.
That's the Trooper Academy. That's the, in your face, flip over bunks and throw your stuff out the window and tell you your room's a mess, get it fixed. I mean, that's that academy.
It's more of the boot camp type academy.
Yep. And actually, they've got a really high injury rate as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, AST. It may not be a high injury rate, but just hear a lot about injuries that occur there.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what the rate is. Let me quantify that. Anyway, we get to Fairbanks, and
who runs the academy in Fairbanks then?
That would be Kelly Copeland.
Okay.
He is the.
Is that a private institution then, or is this
It's through the University of Alaska.
University
Fairbanks.
of Alaska Fairbanks?
Yep.
Okay.
He is part of their CTC staff.
Mm-hmm.
He answers to the University of Alaska Fairbanks. That program actually was. They were almost ready to discontinue that entire program. I don't know if it was budgetary. I don't know if it was staffing. I don't know if it was curriculum. Don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just suffice it to say that they were getting ready to close the program down. They brought Kelly Copeland in, who had been a police officer, SWAT officer, canine officer in San Diego for years, and worked in Daytona Beach for a little while. And just him and his wife just decided that they wanted to come to Alaska. They did. He worked for Fairbanks PD, and then moved into the director's job. His wife is a police officer up there as well. But just he brought a whole new standard to the academy.
Mm-hmm.
He's very demanding. He's very detail oriented. Very up on his training and techniques. I told Will in the newspaper article, one of the biggest things that he harped on was officer wellness, officer safety, being very lethal when you have to, but being able to come off of that
Mm-hmm.
and de-escalate whenever given the chance. But just a super, super guy. So going into the academy, he was pretty hard on all of us. He divided us up into squads, and there was like 5 of us that were probably 40 and over, and he put us in the C squad, and that became known as we called it the Crip Squad.
The Crip Squad?
Crip Squad.
Yeah.
Short for crippled
Yep.
squad.
Yep.
And so, it was not uncommon for, 2 or 3 times a day for about the first 3 or 4 weeks. Downstairs with your sandbags now. Oh my gosh. So we have to grab these 40-pound go-ruck sandbags.
Yep.
We have to run downstairs, get in formation, drop them, push-ups in the snow, in the wet, dragging these things across the gym, doing PT with them, and just wearing us out, really. And then we had a really good class. We had a really good class, and at the end of it, Director Copeland told us that he said, you guys, and especially Charlie Squad, made this class not only enjoyable, but really valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Because we didn't really have any of the 21-year-old, young guns that were just, just crazy.
Yeah.
Right? We had some good, solid people in our class. Probably the average age was honestly probably around 29, 30.
Okay.
So some life experience, you know what I'm
Yep.
saying? So after he kind of realized that we weren't the crazy footloose 21-year-old crew, you know, class, that we had some maturity to us, and that we had some accountability to us. He kind of started coming off of that a little bit, and eventually he just, you know, I suffered a hand injury. My hand went numb. I had to have the carpal tunnel surgery when I was up there. Another girl, she got pneumonia and broke a rib. Another guy broke a rib. This is all during defensive tactics. Another guy busted his foot up. This is all in crippled squad.
So you're talking about a lot of injuries at AST Academy. It sounds like that's not really foreign to where you were at either.
You're probably not going to have 45 and 50,
well, okay.
55-year-old.
So this is all the C squad that was having all the injuries?
This is all C squad, yes. Yes. So imagine what the injury rate would have been if we had been down there with those guys.
You guys all still be in the hospital.
We probably would be, yes. But he really worked with us.
Uh-huh.
Now, I mean, if like the guy that got injured with the rib thing, he had never been to an academy. He was new in law enforcement. I mean, he actually called his department and said, if it's up to me, I'm sending him home.
Okay.
But I will, you know, I wanted to talk with you first. He's very reasonable. And let's make a decision together. And they said, we love this guy. He's a good guy. He can do the job. This was just unfortunate. He said, okay, I'll keep him. Which, I mean, to me showed a lot of character, that he was willing to be flexible in with his own standards, but he didn't never not uphold the standards. You know what I mean? And then as the academy went on, us older folks, we really started playing a big part in the training, because we were playing the bad guys for the young kids. We were playing the people in the scenarios for the young kids. We were the ones that were trying to help mentor through different things for the kids. So it was just a really good mix, you know. And so that part of it, the relationship part of it, was just really, really, really cool. Now, the Alaska state law stuff and the constitutional law stuff might be the most messed up thing I've ever seen. It's Alaska law is what it is, and that's fine. But there's just a lot of the stuff that was just like, are you kidding me? You know, there's no alcohol charges. You know, guy's walking down the middle of the street and he's intoxicated. Hey, buddy, get over on the sidewalk. You know, nobody's around. F you, you know, and you stop him, get it. There's really not a charge for it.
Yeah.
You know, the district attorney's office won't prosecute an assault because he didn't really ever hit you.
Yeah.
But and then there's you know, he's not really disorderly conduct because nobody's around to see it, you know, to make it disorderly.
Yeah.
It's just, there's just some really weird nuances in the Alaska state law that took me quite a while to kind of
get a grasp of.
Yes. Yeah. So that was probably, academically, that was the hardest thing for me, was just getting my mind wrapped around the difference between, you know, theft 1 and theft 5. You know, in Tennessee, it was $0 to $999. It was a misdemeanor.
Yeah.
If it's $1,000 or more, it's a felony. That's it. You know, felony theft, misdemeanor theft. But Alaska's got 5 different ones. You know, and it's just weird. You know, it's just different. So that was tough.
So you'd mentioned earlier, we're going to get back to this about the Tennessee to Alaska pipeline. Is this a good time to hit that?
Absolutely. Can we take a break?
We can take a break. All right, so let's get back to this Tennessee to Alaska police pipeline
The
here.
Tennessee-Alaska police pipeline.
What's this all about?
So I get to the academy, right? And Doug, there was this big, tall, 6'7", 6'8", mountain of a man that walked into the classroom, and no big deal, right? I mean, but we go up and we come together, and I introduced myself. I said, "Hey, I'm Jimmy Yoakum," and he said, "Hey, I'm Mike Hall," and where you from? You know, we called it.
You can hear the voice.
Yeah, and I said, he said, where you from? I said, I'm from Loudon, Tennessee. He said, man, come on. He said, dude, I'm from Cleveland, Tennessee.
How far apart are those?
So there's like a one county in between.
One county in between?
One county in between. It takes us like 35, 40 minutes to get to one another. And
you're both in the police academy.
We both policed in those counties.
In those counties.
Never knew each other. Ever.
And you end up at the same police academy in Fairbanks, Alaska.
He's the new chief of police in Sitka.
Okay.
And I'm the new chief here.
In Haines.
We end up the same police academy in Alaska. And at the end of week one, there was something going on. I can't remember what it was. Mike said something and I finished it. Mm-hmm. Or I said something, he finished it. And one of the kids in the class, I say kids, they're not kids, but one of the kids in the class was like, oh yeah, that's easy for y'all to say. He said, y'all be able to finish each other's sentences or talk like each other or think like each other, whatever, because y'all have known each other forever. And we said, nope. We said, we have never met. And they said, are you kidding me? I mean, it was such a strong bond that we were, it was like, you've met people, I'm sure, mm-hmm. that you just were like, we've been friends our whole lives.
Yeah.
And that's the way it was with Mike and I while we were there. And so that was pretty, Director Copeland, Kelly Copeland, he had a big time with that. I mean, golly, he would fuss at us and get mad at us, and he'd tell us, I can't understand the thing y'all are saying, so just shut up and get out of my face, and it was a good time. It was a good time, and having him there was really nice. You kind of felt that old home connection, and
yeah.
But it was weird because, like I said, I mean, there's one county in between us, and mm-hmm. We policed down there together for years and years and years, never knew each other.
Wow.
Yeah. So
small world.
It is.
You never know when you're going to run across somebody.
And that law enforcement community up here in Alaska is what we found out real quick is even smaller than mm-hmm. it is back home. Yep. Even though the state is so big, the law enforcement community is really, really small here.
Yep.
So, but that's that Tennessee Alaska law enforcement connection.
So now you've been through the academy, mm-hmm. back in Haines for about a month now, a little over a month.
Yep.
What is your vision of the Haines Police Department? Your role as chief, what you want your officers to do. You're still short an officer. You're looking for another one to come on. Mm-hmm. But what do you see as the police department's role in the community? How they interact with the community? What's that look like? So,
one of the things I talked about in the interview process that I still firmly believe in to this day is transparency, and the implementation of the body cameras goes a long way for that. I want to make sure that everybody that we deal with knows, unless something malfunctions, right, that interaction is going to be on body camera, and they're going to be responsible for that conversation, as well as the officers are going to be responsible for what they do and say. Mm-hmm. I feel like that is the only way and I am so thankful for the body cams. And Sergeant Juicy, Max Juicy, man, what a thoroughbred. You know, I mean, he has kept the department running for a long time, and he is so knowledgeable, and he makes such good decisions, and very, very forward thinking. And he saw this whole body cam thing coming. I think even Mike Fullerton was involved in the process to get that started. Both great guys, and just the fact that they were able to get that going speaks volumes for them, because that is a huge part of the accountability that we need to have as officers. The guys always talk to me about social currency, and I think that is a very important part of being policing in a community like Haines. It's so small that I don't feel like that there's any reason why we shouldn't ever be able to have some sort of conversation with somebody that's at least not on some sort of personal level. And for us to implement policies and procedures that just, you know, sound like just the facts, ma'am. I don't think that should be a part of our demeanor or anything like that. I do think that I do feel like I'm doing some good things in bringing some things like of a larger department into our department here.
Such as
it's more little internal things.
Okay.
Like our report writing. I think I've contributed a great deal to how we do our reports and what we say in our reports, as far as it relates to courtroom testimony.
Okay.
I've got a lot of experience testifying in court, and so just a small example the other day is there was a vehicle incident. I don't remember what it was, but there was no disposition in the comment line for the vehicle. And I asked, I said, what happened to the vehicle? And they said at the owner's request, it was left where it was. I said, okay, that's fine, and it probably says it on the body camera, but I can promise you that a defense attorney is going to see that there's no disposition for a vehicle, and they're going to ask about it. And it may be a drop in the bucket in the overall case, but that's just one more thing that they have to pick at, and will, because I had a guy get burned on that back home. I mean, I wouldn't mention it to you if I hadn't seen it, right? I'm not just making stuff up. I feel like I'm bringing that a little bit, kind of just tightening the screws a little bit in our report writing, in our patrol procedures. Sergeant Juicy and I are trying to figure out the best way to get our evidence room up to speed, get our policy and procedure up to speed. There's nothing wrong with our policy and procedure right now. Chief Scott approved those in 2019, and they're still, as far as we can tell, they are still applicable and valid even today. But I would like to do a more in-depth review now that I'm back, to see if there's anything that we might need to tweak, or if situations have changed that we need to tweak something. We need to get the policy. I'd like to do the policy and procedure review. And then, we've unfortunately just not had the manpower, especially if we can get this fifth officer hired. I would like to really start putting in some work on the narcotics trafficking and the narcotics use here in town. It's been explained to me that we are an inline user, because it's not like, in Knoxville, right? Knoxville, Tennessee, You've got I-75 running through Knoxville north and south. You got I-40 running east and west. You got 24 going to Chattanooga. I mean, it's a very active spot for transporting narcotics. This is more kind of an end of line use scenario, but it's still here. And I've been talking to our sister cities and communities in the southeast and other chiefs, other specialized units about how we can get better intelligence coming into Haines, better, even if it's just a heads up, hey, you might want to be looking for this car, this boat, this person, this plane, whatever it is. Just establishing those resources, those partnerships, so that we can then begin to really look into putting a dent in it. The narcotics coming into the borough and the use. You're never going to be able to get rid of all of it. Just not going to happen. If somebody's buried in a concrete 6x6 form, if they want to get out, they're going to get out. But we need to do our part and be vigilant in trying to lessen that threat. And then also been talking about talking with some folks about the human trafficking picture in the southeast. I'm not going to say the problem, because I don't even know if it is a problem around here. Trying to figure out, but looking into human trafficking in the southeast. Also looking into the human trafficking. Yeah. So narcotics, human trafficking. Starting to develop a lot of good contacts to help get that intelligence passed back and forth.
So what do you see as with Haynes's location, small force, relatively small community, what are the challenges for the department that are different from what it would be in Tennessee?
As far as narcotics wise,
just department wise,
in general,
just in general, that what are some of the things you haven't even been here? It's over 6 months, but 4 months, so that we were in Fairbanks. So just in your time here, it's probably not the complete picture that you'd have in another year. But
right,
what are some of the things that you're like, man, I got to figure out a solution to this?
I've got to figure out a solution to. First of all, I would like to begin updating our electronics, our communications, maybe even our CAD, RMS system that the dispatchers use and that sort of thing. To me, my lead dispatcher, she loves it, absolutely loves the system that we have. To me, it feels very user unfriendly. So is there some more, is there some tech out there that we can bring into the department that might bring us up to the departments that I've worked in the past, right? So I feel like we're behind a little bit in that. That obviously boils down to a financial issue, budgeting and all that kind of stuff. And that's up to me to manipulate that budget to where we get the things that we need. So I'm figuring that out. Just the low call volume is just, I catch myself thinking, what are they doing? Why are they just sitting there? Why are they coming back to the office? I'm used to coming in for a 15-minute roll call briefing, giving a roll call briefing, and then, we hit the road, right? We go work traffic, we follow up on cases, we do some interdiction, we run warrants and chase fugitives. There's just not that much here. And that's a good problem to have,
Yep.
right? I mean,
I heard that was it you or was it Officer Marty that gave the mayor a ticket going out of the public safety building
I believe
recently?
I believe that was not me.
That wasn't you.
That was not me.
That's how I put it in his mayor's report that be on the lookout. We were getting closer to full. he got nailed without, I forget what it was, wrong turn. He didn't use a turn signal or something on that. And he's like, I appreciate the warning because I can guarantee, I know, I'm probably not the only one. I'm glad I read that in the mayor's report because I know that my adherence to traffic laws had diminished over the last year and a half when there's only 2 officers because the chance of you getting caught was really, really low.
Yeah.
And so I've tried to step up my game and get a little bit closer to compliance on there since I saw that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And you know what? I got to give you props.
yeah, absolutely.
Well, to the mayor.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? As far as I know,
It didn't sound, he didn't complain about it. It's
he
like,
never said a word to anybody.
yeah.
Never said a word to anybody.
Yep.
And you know, it's not like that back. I mean, that's
A lot of people like, do you know who I am?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
No, you just take, you're wrong. Take
Yeah.
the hit.
yeah,
Move on.
absolutely. And so, you know, kudos to him.
Yeah. No, I thought reading it in the police report, I thought the way that he worded it, or not the police report, in the mayor's report for that meeting, the way he worded it and everything, I thought it was a good public service to the community, but also it was kind of a nod that, hey, these guys are out there doing their job,
Yeah.
and you guys didn't. I thought he handled it very well.
Yep.
So.
And I tell you, the thing that really makes
And
me,
I thought that was good that you've got an officer that's brand new and sees the mayor and it's like, here's your ticket.
Mm-hmm.
I think it sends good. I think that sends a good message to the community as well that I'm not playing favorites.
Yep. And to be fair, I think it was Officer Marty that noticed the violation. It's actually Officer Russell.
Oh, he's with Russell because he's still doing the field training.
Field training.
Yep.
It was actually Officer Russell that wrote the citation.
Okay.
And the thing that excites me about that is knowing that I'm going to have, because Travis is a go-getter.
Yeah.
He is an absolute go-getter, and he will not leave a I undotted or a T uncrossed.
Mm-hmm.
And Max is super smart guy, young guy. He's energetic. He really enjoys this job, and he's extremely coachable. And so knowing that I'm going to have those 2 guys on evening shift
Mm-hmm.
is makes me feel really much more comfortable.
Yep.
And so, you know, then we got Sergeant Juicy and I that work the day shift together, and I can't say enough good about Sergeant Juicy. But having him there with me during the day is a huge comfort because, man, I'm going into him at least once or twice a day saying, teach me how to do this. I forgot how to. I don't know how to do this. How would you guys do it now? You know, just a wealth of knowledge for me. So I'm extremely blessed that he's there for me.
But I was really impressed with both of those guys for the amount of time it was just the 2 officers. And it got to be this winter when I'd see the one of them. I was like, okay, what's the countdown till those 2 get out of the academy? And they usually go, oh, this many days. The closer we got, the more excited they were that it wasn't going to just be the 2 of them anymore.
Yeah.
And then there's still the field officer training and stuff like that. So it's not, they're not, you guys aren't fully on your own in that aspect yet. So I know they're still waiting for that next step and even getting that 5th officer, but getting you guys back out of Fairbanks and just having more people in the building and everything, I know is a big boost to both of those. Because my personal opinion, the community owes both of them a huge thank you for the way that they handled that under adverse conditions for as long as they did with the amount of call-out time they were getting and stuff. They did a great job.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's I not even looked because I'm not even sure I want to know, but I didn't even look to see from January of 2025 until the present, or until February 1st when we got back. I would hate to even see the amount of overtime, the amount of hours that they put in for that. I mean, a normal year is 2,080 hours. I can promise you, they didn't put in 2,080
Oh,
hours.
they were way over that.
That was way over that.
Way over that.
And for them to still be willing to come in every single day and perform the job in the professional manner that they do, it's just
and along with that is just when you would see them and engage with them, they still had a smile on their face. They're still going. A lot of people would get really disgruntled during that period, and maybe at home they had a punching bag they're beating up.
Right.
I can't believe I'm doing this crap and there's nobody here.
Right.
But the comments from them and everything is like, yeah, we're going to get through this. We're making it through this, and just that really positive attitude was great to see. That we're lucky to have both of those officers here.
And I mean, every time when I was up in Fairbanks, and I would talk with Aleka, even she was like, we need to make sure we're taking care of them. We need to when we can, we need to make sure that we do everything that we can to help them kind of refill their tank. So I mean, even the borough staff was really super. I mean, and like you and others in the community was worried about them as well, and just made me feel good that even though me and Officer Marty were up there, and they're still down here just grinding, that the community was going to look after them, and they did just like you said. They always maintained a positive attitude. Will from the paper asked me if I was being briefed on what was going on while I was up there, and I said, man, Sergeant Juicy if he needed to call me, he would. He knew what I needed to hear and what I didn't need to hear. He'd done this himself. He'd been the acting chief for how long? Yep. And he knew what I needed to hear and what I didn't, and he would tell me what was going on, what he was going to do about it. I'm not even there. Why would I second guess him? I mean, for me to tell him what he ought to be doing here when I'm, 700 miles away?
Roughly.
That would be crazy, especially with a seasoned officer like him. Him and Travis, they knew what they were doing, and like you said, they brought a smile into the office almost every day, and maintained a good attitude. I never got any complaints about them being grumpy or whatever, and man, they just troopered through it,
But it goes beyond that too, because as we're talking about this. I think they're fully staffed now at the dispatcher's officer. They might be down one, but there's a time we're down to 2 dispatchers there too for a while. Yeah. And Jane and Linda, they bucked up and did the same thing. That there's some core groups in that department in that building over there.
Yeah.
You look at the EMT, the whole thing. That it's really cool to see their dedication to the job on that core group and how they keep everything going over there.
For sure. We talked about the dispatch thing. Jane and I were talking about it one day, and talking about that can-do attitude, with Travis and Max. We were talking about it, and James was like, look, she said, it is what it is. If we lose a dispatcher, or if we lose 3 dispatchers or 2 she said, we'll handle it.
We'll handle it.
We just like we always have. We'll handle it. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I hope that doesn't happen, but
that's not as much. That's not a very common thought process as much anymore.
Right.
And it's really cool when you see that.
Yeah.
That it's going to suck, but we're going to make it work.
Yep.
We're going to whatever comes, let us have it.
Both sides of the fence, dispatch and patrol. That was their attitude.
Yep.
We're going to handle it. It just makes my job a whole lot easier. So
is your wife staying in Tennessee? Is she coming up here? Or?
She's in Tennessee. She's still she is finishing up. I think she's on the last little bit of a contract that she signed with the hospital that she works for. She's a advanced EMT, a BSN RN. She got her degree in nursing. She's going on year 3 now. So I'm going back to Tennessee right around the 1st of May because I want to see my son. My youngest son is still there. I'll see him, watch some of his soccer games and stuff.
How old is he?
He's 17.
17?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then, but also some of my kids that I coached and taught are graduating.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I'm going to go back and watch them graduate and love on them a little bit and catch up with them. And then I think she's coming back up here with me.
Did you have to promise that all the snow we've been getting is going to be gone before? Have you been telling her about that? She's like, you need to make sure that's gone before I'm going to come up to Haines. That would be a smart, if she's listening before she comes, that'd be a smart request to make before she comes up here.
Yeah. I will check. I'm going to check the forecast to make sure we don't get hit with nothing late, right? Because we can.
That snow coming off the roof.
Oh, because we can push it off if we need to.
Yeah.
But after that, I think she's want to take a week or two vacation, come up here and hang out with me. She's been researching the nursing opportunities up here. Hadn't been real profitable as far as finding positions. I'm not sure if we just haven't plugged in right, or she is, like I said, she's finishing up with a contract now, so it's, she doesn't want to really, after this contract's over, she doesn't have another contract, right? So I think after she gets freed up from it and she can actually focus on, am I staying here, am I, going, whatever. So, she hadn't really found a whole lot of opportunity up here yet as an RN. But then she also is thinking about doing the travel thing. She doesn't do real well with cold weather. But being from South Florida,
I'll go say if she grew up in South Florida, I would not think she's going to like the snow.
She's never ever really learned how to layer and make the clothing work for you. You know what I'm saying?
And there's a part of me that wishes I never had to learn how to layer either. I mean, I like being outside and everything, but there's times in my life I've thought, I was like, man, what if I never had to learn how to do this?
I wouldn't have to worry about it.
It might have been a better scenario.
Yeah, and see, I'm sitting here going, I love it. Bring the cold, bring the snow. But I think once she understands, because me, like I said, South Florida, she just one layer of clothes and that was it. And I think once she understands that you buy the right stuff, you layer it the right way, the cold is not really cold.
It's not a factor.
It's not a factor. But she's thinking about doing travel. So that she can maybe come up here and do spring, summers, even falls with me up here. Her family is still down in South Florida, and so she may do winters. Do a 1 or 2 winter contracts down there, so she can still see her family.
She's the brains in the family, isn't she?
She is, 100%.
Come up to Alaska in the summertime and South Florida in the wintertime.
Absolutely.
She is definitely the smart one of you.
I definitely married out of my league.
Yeah, good job.
I definitely married out of my league. So that's a possibility as well. And we're not spring chickens, so we don't have this 19, 20-year-old lovey-dovey. Oh, we've got to be together. I miss her terribly. I mean, it hurts every day when I'm not with her. But if we need to spend 2 or 3 months apart or 4 months apart while she does her contract there, gives her a chance to see her family. Her dad's getting older. Not sure how long they're going to have him. But that would be a blessing to know that she got to spend some time with him down there, and the travel thing may work out. Yep. So we'll see how it ends up.
So going back to the law enforcement, as we're talking about that, thought hit me that earlier you talked about young life and the ministry aspect of that. How do you see your faith in law enforcement? Is there a blend between those two? Is there Is there not? And those are two separate parts of your life, or how do you intertwine those?
No, the best thing I ever did was bring faith back into my profession.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason my first marriage failed. I got to be a very not very nice person to be around. I was in a really black place, and it was my fault. Fortunately, God got back hold of me,
Mm-hmm.
brought me out of that, and the older that I've gotten, the more I want to bring my faith into the profession instead of trying to separate the two, because my job is to enforce the law, right? But I feel like it's my job to love on people. I feel like it's my job to at least let somebody know that they're cared for, that they're loved, and that they mean something, that they matter.
And I've got to imagine that in a way that's also hard, because a lot of times your interactions with somebody is when they're at a very low. So
Their worst.
It's at one of their worst moments.
Yeah.
But that's also when they need the most loving.
Yep.
So, but trying to be got to take you to jail. I got to charge you with this. Not everybody's seeing that as a loving, but it can be as well. That you're trying to help them, and so it's.
I think
that's a tough one.
I think that balance has come only because of my age. I'm getting older and a little bit wiser.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not much, but I think what I've figured out is that there's a time and place. Hey, this is what's fixing to happen. You know, screw you. No, it ain't. Okay, you know, let's go. That's not the time, right?
Yeah.
But once they're safe, once I'm safe, man, what's going on with you? Man, talk to me. They may want to talk to me, they may not.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where that comes in. Is you know, I'm not standing out in front of the police department trying to proselytize and not holding up the sign, the end is near, you know, receive Jesus now, you know, but I do feel like it's my job to try to, I guess what I want is, I guess I want somebody to ask me that question, or to say to themselves, I want what he has. I wanted to give somebody that smile, that side hug, that, hey, I love you, whatever it is, because I want them to say, I want what he's got. Because if they say that to themselves, that gives me the chance to tell them what I've got, which is Christ.
And so a lot of that, you're hoping it just comes across by the way you carry yourself, that the way you're dealing with them in a respectful, kind manner, even though it's a really difficult part. I didn't expect that you were out reading Bible verses to people when they're in the back of the squad car or anything like that.
Right.
But yeah, it is one of those that when I see people that have a tremendous amount of faith, and that was one of the first, when I first met you at the open house, our conversation, you could tell that you were a person of very deep faith.
Yes.
And it impresses me and amazes me with that faith when you're, but that's also kind of what the scriptures say, you know, you're going to the people that are the sinners,
Mm-hmm.
and you're trying to show them God's love and that aspect of it. But man, it's got to be challenging at times too.
It is.
Because you're going to, like you were saying back in Tennessee, got a lot of repeat offenders.
Mm-hmm.
You got a lot of repeat customers back there.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to figure out where is it at what point that, how do I reach this person to help them through this to get to a better place?
I can do things and I can say things, and if they're ready to hear it, we can have that conversation, right? My daddy told me, you know, you could out preach Billy Graham, and if somebody's not ready to hear your message, they're not going to hear it. But what I can do is I can leave a memory, right?
Mm-hmm.
By not treating somebody like trash, by not cussing them up one side and down the other. Although, I mean, I'm a sinner, man. I have to ask for forgiveness every single day. But I learned, gosh, Doug, I was 53-ish, and I finally learned what grace was. I finally had something happen to me in my life, and I learned what grace was. And without going into the whole story.
Did you feel that immediately? Or was it something that
What
later, when you felt that grace, when you first learned it, was that something that just hit you?
Oh, like a truck. I mean, listen, bro, I'd been raised in the church, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got saved when I was 9.
Mm-hmm.
My mom and dad had me in church all the time. We had a great youth group, blah, 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 you know? And I didn't know what grace was. And I'll tell you, without going into the whole story, because we'd probably be here for another 3 hours, but I had one of my bosses say, I know what you did. This is not quotes, but I know what you did, and I'll never forget it.
He said that to you?
Yeah. I'd lied to him.
Yeah.
I lied to him about something. Can't remember what it was. And when it came out of my mouth, I was like, you better fix that. And immediately I corrected it. And he went off on me. Just, you lied, blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, this is crazy, right? Anyway, 3 years later, I got passed over for a promotion or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I called him. I said, hey, you know, whatever you decided, that's your choice, right? I just need to know what I need to do to make up for this. You know, to line myself up for this job or this promotion, whatever it was. Mm-hmm. I need to know what I need to do. I'm not arguing about your choice. That's your decision. He said, 3 years. 3 years later, he said, you lied to me, and I'm never going to forget it. I said, okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. I hung up. I was sitting out on my screened-in porch. I just cried. I cried for 2 hours. I wasn't angry at him. I'm still angry that it came out, even though I corrected it immediately. It came out, and I'm still mad at myself for that. There's no point in it. But I cried and I cried and I cried just because it hit me that I was never going to hear my God say that to me.
Mm-hmm. And you did it to yourself.
I did it to myself. But I was never going to hear God say to me, I'm never going to forgive you for that.
Yeah.
I was like, that
Yep.
What happened with me and him has
Yep,
nothing to do with
it.
this.
Yep.
What this has to do with is that this is grace, and I don't deserve it, but God gives that to me. So why, when I'm doing this job, when I have a chance to show somebody grace, why do I not do that? What makes me? I have no right, and I'm sure I've offended somebody in this town. I'm sure somebody has heard me get mad and maybe throw out some swear words or whatever. If I have done that and it has caused you to stumble in your faith, I apologize. I do. Please forgive me. But there's no reason why in my job I shouldn't try to show grace at every opportunity. And again, it's timing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in the middle of a fight's probably not the time, but there's no reason why it's still a person. That's still one of God's children. It's harder sometimes with others, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, that's just kind of where my faith comes in this job.
That was big for you.
Hmm?
That was big for you.
Huge.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a church kid.
Mm-hmm.
You'd think at 52 years old I knew what grace was, right? We talk about it all the time. We think about it. I have no idea why it hit me that way, but it did. I mean, it hit me dead square in the face. This is what grace is.
I've looking back at it, it's. I don't know if it's because I'm not very self-aware, but looking back and seeing different things that have happened through life, and it's like, oh, now I understand why I knew that person for this period of time, or now there's kind of for the longest time just not knowing purpose or anything like that, and having a lot of friends talk about God guiding them and God's guiding their life, and I never really felt that.
Yeah.
But then when it did happen, it's like, okay, this is something, and then just laying awake at night, day after that, and just all this stream of conscience coming through, and it's kind of like this. Somebody took this highlighter through my life and put all these things together, right? And I'm like, wow, there's quite the connection through there.
Yeah.
And I could go from when I was like 10
Mm-hmm.
to that moment.
Yeah.
And all these things that I think were connected. A lot of people go, oh, that's just coincidence.
Yeah.
Maybe it was. But I don't think that it was coincidence that shortly after that moment, all of these things came and just kind of just every single night, just rolling through this chronology of people saying things, being in these certain places, and all these experiences. Like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's and I think one of the biggest things that kept me from understanding that grace was it took me a long time to figure out what my purpose was.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is that not the question we always ask ourselves?
I'm still trying to figure out my purpose.
What's my purpose? What am I supposed to be? What's
Mm-hmm.
God's will for me?
Mm-hmm.
And a very smart old man told me one time, we were talking about this. I was like, I just can't believe I don't know what my purpose is and what's God's will for my life. And he said, you're thick-headed, ain't you? I said, what? He said, you're not real smart. I said, thanks. What are you talking about? He said,
I thought I was.
Yeah,
Apparently not.
I'm educated. I went to college. He said, what's wrong with all that stuff that you just told me? I didn't know searching for God's will for me is wrong, right? You know?
Yeah.
He said, think about what you said. I'm thinking. I said, I couldn't get it. I wasn't figuring it out.
Yeah.
I was thick-headed.
Yeah.
He said, everything that you just talked about is I, and me. was like, well, what am I supposed to be asking? He said, that's the question. He said, how about this? He said, do you believe God's in control? I said, yes, sir. He said, do you think that he works all things together for, his good? Yes, sir. Do you think that he knows exactly what he's doing? I said, yes, sir. He said, why don't you get up in the morning and look around and see what he's doing around you and how you might be able to help him? Because it ain't you. Let me tell you something. He's good enough that he can straighten out the messes you make, right? Yeah. And I was like, what? What is God doing around me that he wants me to take part in? Yeah. Is it that person I can give a hug to, or I can give a hello to, or hey Doug, love you today, that's the question that we should be asking. But I can't explain that to somebody if I don't know what grace is. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. If I don't know what grace is, that type of love means nothing to you. If I can't explain that as well. And man, when I heard that guy say that.
That's a good way of putting that. I haven't heard that before in that way.
Yeah. We hung up that phone. Yeah. Been in church all my life. even been a youth minister and didn't know what grace was.
And not necessarily with grace, but when you're talking about being in church and being a youth minister all your life and you didn't know that, one of the people that I had a conversation recently with, Marnie, and she was talking about, you can hear a message, but you don't always hear it until you're ready. Yeah. There's a time in your life when you're prepared to hear that message, right, and can actually do something with it. You heard that message numerous times before that. Yep. That's the first time it sunk in, and there's a reason that was the first time it sunk in. Yep. And I know with me, there's a lot of messages I heard when I was younger that didn't really resonate with me at all. Yep. But later in life, that same thing.
That's that connection that you were talking about.
Yeah, and there's times like, and then you say this, a number of people like, yeah, I've been telling you that for the last 20 years. Like, right. I've got a thick skull too. Right. Sometimes it takes a lot of times before it seeps through there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So I think that just back to the original question, I just think that it's when the time is right, I'm safe, they're safe, I have got no excuse. Even though I fail at it every day, I've got no excuse but to try to do something. Do, not say, because nobody really cares how much you know. They want to know how much you care.
And I'm going to push back on you on this. Okay. You just said that every day you fail. But it goes back to what we were just saying, that we're not always in a position to hear the message. Mm. You're delivering a message, whether it's through deeds or actions, because the other person doesn't receive it. I don't think that's a failure on you.
They're not thought about that way.
They're not ready, just because they might not be ready to receive it, because you don't know that in 30 days, in 3 years, 5 years, something else adds to that and it comes through. You don't know what that long-term consequence is going to be because it's not right in front of you.
Yeah, that's true.
But that doesn't mean that you failed in that moment, because you did what your heart was telling you to do in that moment, to show them that kindness, to show them that. And even though they're not able to receive it in that moment or show that they received it, right, doesn't mean that it wasn't successful at some point.
That's true. I've not thought about it that way. I really haven't.
I wouldn't have thought of that until some of the conversation I've been having since doing this podcast, and people throwing different thought processes at me. It's open. I had my reasons for doing this, but the one that has been the most impactful is the things that I've learned off of this. Is not what I knew. I'd learned some stuff. Yeah. But there's a lot of things that on the way people thinking about different situations, and it's like, wow, I'm learning so much from each person that I'm talking to,
Right.
and the way they handle different situations. They just like, this is my life. I'm going to live my life. Because for me, so much has been trying to be in control all the time. It's like, I got to control my emotions. I got to control this. In being uncomfortable at church sometimes, because I know the sins that I have. And it's like, man, lightning bolt come down and strike me as soon as I go through those doors.
Right.
Because you're being judged by other sinners. The people that in the church, they're all sinners just like you.
Yeah.
But it's God that has the grace that's going to forgive us, right?
That's it.
But that's hard. That's hard to wrap your head around sometimes.
It is, and that's
because we're being judged by the people around us right now, and a lot of times they can hold you to really high standards. I hold myself to a really high standard, but somebody else is forgiven all of that, and that's the only judge that matters.
And it's gone, right?
It's gone.
It's as far as the east is from the west, as far as he's concerned. But we have a tendency to, I remember what you did, Doug Oldrood,
I do that to myself.
I remember what you did, Jimmy.
I know what I did.
Right?
That's worse than anybody else knowing.
Yeah. And this is where, too, I've kind of, I still believe in church. I feel like in the book of Acts lays the fellowship that's needed out pretty well for us, But it's just, it's people have been burned by that, especially in this modern day. There's been a lot of people that have been hurt by church. And so they don't want nothing to do with it.
Not even modern day. You go back through time and the amount of sin that's been committed by the church.
Yeah.
And that was something based on a previous conversation that I had. I had a friend of mine approached me last week, and because I was talking about trying to figure out religion, and she said, Doug, stop worrying about religion. Stop worrying about church. Worry about a relationship with God.
There it is.
And they're like, yeah, that's what I'm searching for.
Yes, absolutely.
And a lot of times the religion aspect, the church aspect of it, in some ways can interfere with that, because there's things that you see churches doing, and it's like, that's not very godly.
Right.
That's not how, from my limited reading of the Bible, that doesn't seem like how we're supposed to be treating other people that are different than us.
Something's not lining up.
Something doesn't really line up, and trying to comprehend that. And so that is like, okay, that nailed the search that I'm on, is trying to find how do I get that relationship with God. And you're right, part of it is being in that communal atmosphere, being in a church, singing hymns, just being together,
fellowship,
and having that shared fellowship is a huge component of that. But for me, I'm not always comfortable in that environment.
Right.
So it's trying to find a balance.
Yep.
With that is,
and I tell you, I got to give props. I mean, the two pastors that I have met, Dana from the Presbyterian Church.
Yep.
And Matt, who I go to Port Chilcoot. Dana, just had one conversation with him since I've been here. He was interested in Young Life, right? Open to helping out any way he can, starting Young Life here. And of course, Matt just as down to earth as anybody. So that was really nice to see that. It seems like the folks that I have met that are in charge of the official religion, whatever you want to call it, the churches, that just seem like really good, down-to-earth dudes. You know what I'm saying?
Those are two. There are a lot of people in Haines that are amazing individuals. That are leaders of our churches. That are some very upstanding individuals. I would agree with that 100%. And those two you named, Dana and Matt, are with them. I really appreciate both of them and what they bring to the community.
So I think going back to what you said, though, is the most important thing is that we've just got to try to remember, just plant the seed, man. Whether it's a word, a smile, a touch, even in my job, there's something I can do that's going to plant a seed. It may not be heard, but it may just be, you know what I'm saying?
But I do know what you're saying, because I don't know if it's just the stuff that I read, but the number of stories, movies, TV, whatever, of people's life stories that they'll trace it back to they were having a really hard time with something. Sometimes they're talking about suicide. Sometimes they're talking about these other things, and just a person holding the door and smiling at them. These small little triggers changed the whole direction of their life.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is something that I was supposed to learn earlier because it kept coming up in front of me that maybe I should do this more. But they kept pointing out that these small little things that you do, it might seem inconsequential to you at the moment, but you don't know what that other person is going through at that time.
100%.
And that was one of the big learning points for me from the slide incident, was talking to the mental health professionals, and they're talking about dealing with trauma, and this light bulb turned on in my mind, not off. So many times, I used to have a terrible temper when I was younger. I mean, there's some people that are in the school district that I spent a lot, that are still in town, that I spent a lot of time in their office, and they can tell you that I was a complete jerk for many, many years trying to figure that out.
Right.
But there's some people tell you in my adult life that happened as well. But there's a couple things happened. One of our employees at one point mentioned, is like, did you know when you lose your temper, what that does to the whole staff? I was like, well, I'm not mad at them. I'm mad at myself that's broke or whatever. They're like, yeah, but when you lose your temper like that affects all of us for, like, wait, what? And so it's like, okay, I can't lose my temper. I always got to be. She's like, everybody in the store takes their cue off of you. That's stupid. Why would anybody want to take the cue? She's like, no, if you're having
their problem.
Exactly. And she's like, if you're having a bad day, everybody's going to have a bad day.
Right.
Like, shut up.
Yeah.
But I was looking at it, I was like, yeah. And so it's like, okay, I got to be the happy guy every day.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what's going on. I got to figure out a way to be happy.
Yeah.
But then also the other part of it was understanding that when I would lose my temper, it wasn't over what was happening right in front of me. It wasn't that moment. That was the trigger. But my reaction was usually very disproportionate to what just happened.
Right.
It was because there's all these other things that I let build up.
Made a mountain into a mole.
And so when that trigger flipped, all of a sudden, and everyone's like, holy cow, that was kind of crazy.
Yes.
Yeah, because it was, and so then I after the slide, when they were talking about this, of not knowing what somebody's going through, there would be instances where somebody would come into the store, borough office, assembly meeting, whatever, and just unload on something, and I'd be like, what the heck?
Yeah.
That seems so, and that's when it triggered in my mind. It's like, they're not just mad at this. There's other things going on in their life, and you never know what those are.
Right.
Did they just find out that a family member passed away, or has cancer, or broke their leg, or they've got somebody's in an accident and they're waiting at their financial difficulties, their marriage is breaking down, a relationship breaking down. You have no idea what these other stressors are.
Yeah.
And when I started, so now I catch myself a lot that, okay, a lot of stress is going on in your life. You need to go, and my thing is exercise. Try and exercise, and that usually helps. But then when I see other people, it's like, okay, I'm just going to take this because there's other stuff going on.
What can I do for them?
How can I either diffuse the situation or show them love, show them kindness, show them some understanding,
grace,
show them that grace, that it's not going to solve everything else that's going on, but if there can be one thing in their life that went well for them today,
I want to be able to provide that.
If I can provide that one thing for them,
right?
And I think that's what you're looking at too.
Yeah.
Is finding that grace for somebody that's in a bad situation that's probably, and they're not going to thank you. They're not going to tell you anything. But I think the effort.
But they don't have to walk out of jail going, man, those guys were jerks.
Yeah.
You know.
No.
They might say that anyway.
They could.
But in their heart, they know.
They know that they were treated well. Yeah. They know they're under the circumstances that you guys showed them as much kindness as you can. And I think that's what we do as a community. What we need to do more of as a community as well is show that grace to
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah. And you brought up the mental health aspect of it, you know, that about how that's so important. Man, I'm fixing to get on a soapbox.
Go ahead. Jump on it. You want to jump up on our cooler here? We can use that as a soapbox if you want.
You know, when I started in 95, right, you didn't talk about it. You shoved it. You just stuffed it because it made you look weak.
Yep.
Nobody could trust you. If they couldn't trust you, they wouldn't work with you. So, man, when we were going through mental health at the academy, and 2 officers came in and shared with us. You know, one is doing a technique that's called EMDR, and another one is doing brain spotting, and they've just been really, really super pleased with how those have come out, or how their therapy is going based on some trauma that they've experienced in the past. You know, bad trauma, which all of us have had, whether it's police, fire, EMS, veterans. It could be civilians too, right?
Everybody's got it.
Everybody's got it. And so I've started ramping back up on my project. 2005, when I was doing Young Life.
Yep.
Right? We're branding cattle, and we've done 250 head that morning. We got another 250 head calves to brand in the afternoon. And this was like a 3-day thing. These are big cattle ranches. Man, I'm tired. I'm dirty. I've been stepped on and kicked and head-butted by about every calf in the pen, right? It's lunchtime, and I'm sitting there and just being an orphan, being adopted, right? Being in that, even though I had a great life, great mom and dad, I'm still that's what I am. And for some reason, I was sitting by the post. I got cow poop all over me and dirt and eating a sandwich. And I just felt God kind of nudging me to start a Christian-based orphanage.
Okay.
Like a boys' ranch.
Yep.
Like a boys' ranch and a girls' ranch, right? Because I was like, man, it's needed, right? And I have thought about that every day since 2005. Every single day.
Really?
It's evolved now.
Yeah.
Right? It's evolved now into, especially when I started learning about natural horsemanship and the healing power that horses have.
Yeah.
And after being a canine officer, just being able to sit with my dog after a really bad deal and just pet his head, you know, just hold on to him, right? It's evolved into this. I want to start, right, a retreat for veterans and first responders and their families initially, right, using equine-assisted therapy and canine therapy to break down those walls, to break down those traumatic events. Because I go ahead and tell you, I ain't talking about them, right?
Yep.
That was my philosophy for years.
Yep.
And those things that you're talking about, they're building up, that are causing people to explode, that are killing their families, that are tearing their families apart, that are driving their kids away from them. How do we keep the kids, you know, from being so apathetic in school? Well, you know what? We can maybe make some better family situations, right? Anyway, so it's my dream here in Alaska to be able to start a place initially that we can send our veterans and our first responders for trauma-based therapy using dogs and horses. Obviously, you can't be with a dog or a horse the entire day, so, I mean, let's take them out fishing. Let's take them out hunting. Let's take them out, do some archery. Just let them walk, you know? But
there's a lot of restorative properties in nature.
100%. 100%. My daddy always said, if you want to really feel better, go outside and work with your hands. And I'm telling you right now, Doug, I am convinced that God made the horse the best therapist in this world. When he made the horse, he made the best therapist ever.
Yeah, I don't know if I can go along with that. It could be 100% true, but my first time on a horse, my sister ran up behind. She's going to be mad at me about this, but we're at my cousin's. She ran up behind it. I got bucked off, and it landed on my foot. My foot hurt like crazy. Shortly there, a few years after that, I'm at different relatives' horse, and my aunt's like, "I'm going to go for a horse ride. Do you want to go?" Sure, let's go. So we get to this field, and she's like, I want to gallop this horse a little bit. The horse you're on is going to want to run with me. Hold back on the reins really tight so it doesn't run.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I got this. I was like 16, 17 years old. There's not a problem. I felt that was pretty strong.
John Wayne, boy.
She takes off. This horse, it didn't matter. I'm like doing everything I can to hold on to this horse. And it was hurting because I was not riding that horse correctly. And we're flying across the field. I go blowing past my aunt. I finally get this horse stopped. She comes up. I thought that's what I was doing.
Yes.
So since those two incidences, I've had a couple. I went on a trail ride. A girlfriend used to have horses. Her horse treated me very well, but I've had a couple bad experiences with horses. I don't know if the horse is really my spirit animal. It's going to be all that comforting to me, then, Chief.
I promise you, I could change your mind.
All right, we might have to do that because I've had two traumatic moments with horses that didn't turn out that well.
Well, I mean, listen,
I'm still here to tell the story.
You're talking about a prey animal. Whatever gets on a horse's back in nature. A mountain lion or a bear or something, right? When they're trying to kill them. That's where you were. You were on the back.
I was on its back.
They just thought you were trying to eat them.
I don't know.
Got to get down on the ground level.
Get on the down.
Yeah, get on ground level, and you got to start getting with them.
I'll have to try this again sometime.
But that's what makes the therapeutic aspect of the horse so cool is that you're talking about a prey animal. Yeah. Which we're what? We're predators, right? We've got our eyes in the front of our head.
See, I was where I was supposed to be. I was supposed to be on the top of that horse.
That's right, you were. Except for the horse's opinion. But I'm sure they had grace. But that prey-predator relationship, I mean, what do? We walk right up. Hey, Doug, how you doing?
Yeah.
Right? You try that on a horse, that's a mountain lion coming at them.
Yeah.
Right? The whole point is that they see right through you. It's their job to run. It's their job to be nervous. It's their job to be cautious around you. And if you go into a round pen with a horse and you've got ill intent, or if you're pissed, or if you are just frustrated and everything else, I can promise you that horse ain't going to come nowhere near you. But if you go in and you relax into that, and you just kind of flush everything, you're eventually going to connect with that horse. And to do that, when you connect with a horse, is so special because they have just given you, it's kind of like the golden ticket because they don't trust unless you earn it, right? Well, what do we have trouble with in our relationship? Trust. Yeah. Anger, this and the other. The social skills that make us, in what today's terms would call successful. I was adamant, I was forceful, I was strong, I was, all those things that the kids, bullying, being a bully, might makes right, bigger the better, right? All those social skills that we learn cannot be used to connect with a horse. We've got to learn to soften. We've got to learn to become the lesser entity in that ring.
That reminded me about 10 years ago, a friend clued me into Brené Brown and her books.
Brené Brown.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the book. I've read a few of hers, but she has a really great TED talk on vulnerability about best leaders show vulnerability, and so I'm going through that, and I'm like, I don't want to be vulnerable. That sounds terrible.
Somebody will take advantage of me.
Who would want to do that?
Right.
But she was right.
Yes. Yeah. And just that connection.
But it's scary.
It is.
It's scary to be vulnerable around people because you're worried that they're going to take it, like you said earlier, they're going to take advantage of you, going to use it against you or whatever. But yeah, the people that can be vulnerable, they've got a leg up on others.
But when you can't be vulnerable with your wife or your significant other or your kids.
Yeah, it's not going to. If you don't have that, that's.
But a horse will teach you that. A horse will teach you that.
I've learned that without the horse because I didn't want to get beat up again.
A horse will teach you that, and it just the breakthroughs. It is actually a certified, or it is a professional certification, equine therapist, and the science and everything has gone to backing it up. But that's for the folks that are really tense, right?
Well, I've heard people using that like for autistic kids and stuff too. A lot of kids on the spectrum and stuff. That equine therapy is amazingly helpful.
Even
for them.
equine physical therapy. So
okay.
like kids or people with MS, right? They have a lot of problems with their core.
Yeah.
But the horse riding, the actual physical act of horse riding strengthens their core. It helps them to walk better. Okay. It helps kids with physical disabilities involving balance. It helps them to balance better.
So where are you going to build this? where are you going to get these horses at? Are you going to try and lasso some moose and throw people up on a moose?
I ain't getting near no moose. Them sorry suckers are huge.
What's the game plan? How do we make that happen?
So here's the deal. Since 2005, I've thought about it every day.
Yeah.
Right? What I tell people is, I just want to get a group of people around a table and talk about if we can do this. I'm wanting a little bit of time, and I'll provide the coffee. And what I get, this is what I've gotten. I'm not mad about it. It is what it is. First of all, nobody wants to, nonprofit, they're coming around for money again, blah, blah, nobody wants to go out and fundraise, right? I get it. I do. But I get, hey, Jimmy, that's a great idea. Let me know how it turns out.
So instead of me telling you, hey, Jimmy, let me know how that turns out, what if you change the parameters of it a little bit?
Okay.
Because if you're going to be in Haines, horses are really, really expensive. It
Yes.
raises your cost tremendously.
Yes.
What if you dialed that back and started off with just nature relaxing? That we're going to get people out, because like we're talking about, there's a lot of therapy to nature. There's a lot of quiet places in Haines, and do that and dogs.
100%.
Start with
100%.
that and dogs, and then kind of figure out. And there are some people in town that are doing something similar to that. Mm-hmm. Not here in Haines, but they have connections that. Well, I'll mention it after we're done recording.
Okay.
I don't know if it'll go anywhere, but I think there's some connections and.
Well, and I guess when I was younger, man, I was like, no, this is what I want. This is the way it needs to be, right? Mm-hmm. Now I'm like, I even had a conversation when I was in Fairbanks with a guy who's doing this in Utah or somewhere out west, and he said, Jimmy, you don't have to start with 500 acres and 75 horses. He said, you can start with 2 acres and 1 horse. And to your point, whether it's in Haines, whether it's up more towards the middle of the state or, somewhere in the southeast, I don't care where it started. All I know is that we need to get the numbers down. Agreed. And the numbers are 18 first responders commit suicide every day in this country.
And 22 veterans.
Conservative
number. Yep.
22 veterans commit suicide every day
Yep.
in this country.
Yep.
We have no earthly idea how many people's families are being ruined, aside from suicide,
Oh,
through drug use, alcohol abuse, whatever.
yeah.
But if we can start somewhere.
And that's why I'm excited. I like the idea. I'm excited about it. And that's exactly my idea.
Mm-hmm.
How do we start somewhere?
Yes.
And I don't care where it is.
Yes.
Because so many of the issues that I see us having as a community, statewide, nationwide, with your abuse, whether it's substance abuse, domestic violence, physical, emotional abuse, PTSD, the with our first responders, with our veterans, with just people going through traumatic experiences in their life. That's such a drag on everything,
Yes.
holding us back from. And there's so many people that aren't reaching their full potential
100%.
because of that.
100%.
How do we reach out to them in a non-clinical manner and that helps them become a better version of them, the best version of themselves?
Yes.
And helps them deal with these things that right now are causing them a lot of pain.
Yes.
How do we ease that pain off?
Yes. 100%. You know,
And I'm all for ideas that help do that.
and there's plenty to model after.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Samaritan's Purse, right?
Yep.
Franklin Graham has got a lodge in Alaska, southwest of Anchorage,
Mhm.
somewhere up there, and they do. What's the program called? Oh my gosh! It's about healing veterans and their families.
Mm-hmm.
They take them up there to do retreats. They'll take them not camping. They'll take them kayaking. They'll let them fish. They'll take them on walks. They'll let them be together. They give them, whether it's a faith-based program is not concerning to me.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why in just a minute. But they get the couples together for marriage counseling and classes, and it just gives them a chance to decompress a little bit. But then there's the follow-up, right?
Mm-hmm.
The follow-up is key. Keeping that squad of people that come to that retreat up the highway after that first week, it's important to follow up with them and keep that squad together for at least the next year so they can rely on each other and have an
Mm-hmm.
accountability partner or two, et cetera. And whether that looks like just doing some hiking and some kayaking or some eagle watching or whatever it looks like here in Haines or anywhere else that somebody might want to put this
Mm-hmm.
thing together. But like we were talking about, getting outside, being in the outdoors and doing some things with your hands. And eventually those people are going to say, I want what you've got. I say, well, let me tell you about my best friend. His name's Jesus,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And they may not hear it then, but that'll plant that seed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, faith-based or not faith-based, the love that we show to the people that come to that retreat for the weekend, if that's what
Mm-hmm.
it starts out as,
Yep.
or the week, that's not us. That's Christ showing that love, that grace, that forgiveness, that
Hey,
acceptance.
you don't have to bring up scripture at all.
Right.
But
no.
just showing them that kindness, that they're recognized,
Yeah.
that they're appreciated, that they're loved,
Yes.
that people care for them, that
Yes.
they're not being judged. It's a huge part of it right
100%.
there.
100%. But you've got to get a vehicle in place where they've got a chance to
Mhm.
disconnect.
Yep.
And I would say for trauma response therapy, I would say it does need to be at least a week.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have some good, knowledgeable folks. Gosh, these ladies at Search Behavioral Health, man, they're on it with trauma-based counseling. We had a meeting with them the other day,
There's other private practices in
there's
the community
private practices
we've got some amazing resources in Haines for that.
There's private practices in the community as well. There's the telehealth, but as far as like, hypothetically, Omnis Dominus, we decided to start a weekend retreat. Those folks that are here that are practiced in trauma-based therapy, they actually need to get their hands on those folks. Telehealth is fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, no, but what you're talking about is a different level. It's that telehealth or in-person appointments or whatever meets one need, but I think that being in nature with whether it's equine therapy, whether it's canine therapy, nature therapy, it's at a different level and it meets a different need.
Yeah, and those canines, that's a different type of therapy. That's a different type of person. You and I need.
You know what
horse.
I've been trying to find?
What?
Everybody's been asking me that. They said, Doug, you need a dog. Everybody's been telling me for the last 30-some years since I moved home that I need a dog. I have my ideal dog down, but nobody can find one. I want one that's going to sense when my Seahawks are losing and I need some comfort. The Huskies are having a bad game. They can just sense that discomfort when things just aren't going my way and come up and hop in my lap and just give me that look that, Doug, I still love you, even though the Seahawks are horrible. Even though your football teams are letting you down today, I'm here for you. And I've told trained professionals, and they're like, yeah, I don't think that exists. I don't think that's what we train the dogs for. I was like, well, that's what I need a dog for. I can cross the street by myself and stuff like that, but that's where I need
I promise you.
That's where I know my therapy.
We can find you an emotional support dog. I promise.
I had one friend that he said he could find one, but it'd be $60,000.
No.
And I can deal with my trauma from my football teams letting me down without spending $60,000.
Throwing stuff at the TV.
Yeah, that
you can
works.
buy a lot of TVs for $60,000.
I can buy a lot of TVs for $60,000.
Absolutely, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I've learned to throw soft stuff at the TV so it doesn't hurt them.
Right. We'll find you your therapy dog. We'll find you your therapy dog. But yeah, it's like the dog thing. I mean, first of all, it's been scientifically proven. You pet a dog, you pet an animal, right? Your blood pressure goes down.
Yep.
There are people that deal with trauma response, though. Most of the time, they need the horse. They need that 1,200-pound animal in the same ring as them, because you can't bully or make that horse do anything. He's either going to kill you or he's going to run from you. But then there's people that feel just unbelievable guilt for things that have happened to them, right? And they've got no self-esteem. They've got no self-respect. They've got no confidence. But guess what they have to be able to be the alpha dog in the pack?
Yeah.
They have to be that alpha dog. They have to get that confidence, that self-respect, that ability to lead that dog, because that's what that dog's looking for, right? So the whole nature of that therapy, and like you said, I mean, you can start with canines, just if nothing else, to have them there to be with. As long as you're outside doing something, as long as you've got that mechanism, I'm fired up about it, and I have been since 2005.
You can tell. You can tell that coming out of you. That's good.
Since 2005, but again, like I said, no luck so far, and you know what? It's all good. It's God's never early. God's never early, and He's never late.
But the thing is, too, is you keep putting it out there.
True. Yes.
You never know when you're going to get that response, but you're putting that out there in the universe, and you don't. You maybe you know, maybe you don't, but I'm guessing you don't. There could be somebody that heard that conversation that's doing something like that.
Yes, 100%.
That could be happening. Somebody could be done. Was like, man, that's a great idea. And they didn't bring you on it, but there could be somebody in New Mexico that's doing that because they heard a conversation, or you told somebody and they told somebody else, and they went and are doing it.
And let's not reinvent the wheel if we don't have to.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, God's never early, never late. If this is something that He wants to put in place, it'll happen when it's supposed to. But just so far, no luck. But again, I'm looking for a table. I'm looking for some coffee. Let's get a group of people who possibly could become like the board of directors for that project. But initially, let's just talk about can we do it. So anyway, that's why I was happy when you started getting in on trauma response and trauma and being able, you never know what somebody's going through. I was happy when you brought that up. I was like, yes.
We didn't even plan that.
No,
it just happened naturally.
Yep.
What else we got, Chief?
That's about it.
That's about it.
Yeah. What do you got?
I got nothing. That was it. We could probably ask questions for another 3 or 4 hours, but
yeah.
Marty's probably going to want to go home at some point. But no,
we still got to do coffee though.
Is it all right if I have a hot chocolate? I don't drink coffee.
Sure.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So
we will do
as
that
long
at some point.
As long as if I do get a caramel latte, you don't make fun of my frou-frou drink.
I will not make fun of your frou-frou drink in front of you.
All right.
I might do it
Wait
later.
No, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Trauma. Doug,
if you're not making fun of me as a 56-year-old still having hot chocolate, then I'm not going to make fun of your frou-frou drink. How's that sound? We come to a truce on that one?
Deal.
All right, deal.
Yeah. But
well, I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you for
sharing as much as you did.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I loved it. This was great. It really was.
It's great to get to know you better, and I think you've got some really cool ideas. And let's hopefully there's people out there that are listening that have heard that, and maybe have some people approach you and see if we can't make that happen.
See what
and
happens.
I have some people that I might put you in touch with too to see if we can't make that happen.
Sounds good. Just remember, everybody, love somebody. Somehow. Love somebody.
Somehow. Yep.
Give
them grace.
You.
Thanks, Chief.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you.
Alrighty.
Thanks for watching this episode of Doug Has Questions. Just a reminder, if you've enjoyed the conversation today, please like, subscribe, and we're available on YouTube if you want to watch us. If you just want to listen, it's on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and you have new episodes being launched every Thursday. So thanks again for watching or listening and following us. We appreciate your support.